Going to the beach evokes feelings of fun and good times, and that's exactly what we've got for you today. Southern California's Long Beach is looking fabulous and ready to host IndyCar for the 40th year. Yes, this place is not only picturesque, it's iconic for the sport. Hi folks, Lee Diffie along with Townsend Bell and James Hinchcliffe, and look at where we are. We're more than 200 feet high above the track here at the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, getting a bird's eye view of this amazing facility. You two have experienced what winning feels like here.
We have. Now, I won an Indy Lights, and every now and then I still come across that trophy in the garage, and it is extra special. Winning here can make your season. In fact, it can make your career. James, you won the big race here.
Yes, mine's not in the garage though. It's got prime real estate on the mantle, and it's all because of the history of this race. Only the Indy 500 has a longer history with IndyCar. That's why drivers want to win here. And let's face it, guys, there's nowhere quite like Long Beach.
Long Beach is definitely one of the iconic races in IndyCar.
These streets right here, they've been serving up a cocktail of sun, fun, and horsepower.
You can kind of just walk across the street to the track by the water.
One of the most fun tracks that we have.
I love being up next to the fence. I love the turn into apexes where you turn into the concrete walls.
The view, the vibe, people come from everywhere for this event. Welcome to IndyCar Live, presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance. And we've made the swift move from the top of the building down here trackside to the head of the grid. And look, whether you want to be one of the fans enjoying the sunshine by the ocean or you want to be on the honor roll of winners, that's the beauty of Long Beach, T-Bell, right? There's something for everybody.
There is something for everybody, absolutely. You know, for 40 years, this place has been about loud, fast, ruthless competition on the track and a massive party scene. It's like Coachella meets a cage match. It's given us the hot rod culture of Southern California that we love. Guys like Carroll Shelby, Dan Gurney, they came from this place. James, Long Beach, unlike any other.
It's one of the best atmosphere. The fans love it, but the drivers love it too because the track is so challenging, T-Bell. We've seen a lot of hot spots on the racetrack in practice so far. A lot of places drivers can get caught out, but for a street course, to have fast corners, slow corners, elevation, there's nowhere quite like it.
I know we had the non-championship points race at Thermal, the $1 Million Challenge, but it's felt like an eternity since the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete. That was the first, of course, official points race. So to remind you of what the championship standings look like, courtesy of his victory to kick off the 24 season, Joseph Newgarden leads the way over Pato O'Ward and his Team Penske teammate Scott McLaughlin heading into this second round of the 2024 championship. Let's get you up to speed on some news and notes. If you haven't heard, the F2 champion is here. That's 20-year-old Frenchman Théo Pourchaire. Great young man, and he's going to do just fine today. He's excited about making his IndyCar debut. On a technical front, there is iteration or version number 2 of the aero screen. It's lighter, it's cooler, and it's going to aid the drivers. And then how about this for a very different looking front row? Felix Rosenqvist, Fro, is on the pole, giving Meyer Shank its first IndyCar pole position, and Will Power, the qualifying master. And those two have never started alongside each other on the front row. With more on Rosenqvist, here's Marty Snyder.
Well, just 2 races into his Meyer Shank racing career, 2 front row starts for Felix Rosenqvist on the pole today. Why has this combination worked so well so quickly?
I don't know what's the exact secret sauce, but I feel in general we've just been gelling well, kind of speaking the same language when it comes to car setup and, reacting to different conditions. And, yeah, I feel like we've done a lot of right decisions when it's very easy to make a lot of wrong ones here in IndyCar. So, yeah, so far so good. The team is behind me, I'm behind them, and we're just getting started in a way, so it's pretty exciting.
What's been missing is the race day pace. The speed is clearly there, and you told me that race day pace kind of keeps you up at night. What has been missing?
I mean, I think it's a mix of things, right? I've had races where I've been degging, I had races where, mechanical failures or just kind of lack of pace. So it's something that we definitely try to work hard on. I think we're in good shape here. We're starting on the primes, which I think is a more safe strategy. I think, Will is only the really one in the front. They're starting on alternate, so he's obviously going to be aggressive. But I think even if he would get us in the start, we're like in the best possible situation at that point. So pretty happy with our choice and how he played out with the tires. And yeah, I guess the rest we'll have to see.
It's been 60 races since he went to victory lane here in IndyCar, hoping to end that today. But Kevin Lee, he's got some tough competition to start with.
Marty, not only does Will Power have more poles than anyone ever, he started on the front row 114 times, including today. So what's the approach to turn one?
Oh yeah, it's you can't really plan for it, but I obviously want to get a really good jump or start and try attack pretty hard at the beginning because I'm the only one on these alternate tires, so need to use them when they're good. But we'll see. We'll make the most of whatever it is. This is IndyCar. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, it's ultra competitive out there, and I'm having fun.
Last year was difficult, on track and off track. Your wife Liz is much healthier now. How do you feel different this year? What has that done for you to be able to perform?
Oh, it's much more prepared for this season. You know, it was beginning of last year. I was in the hospital with Liz, so yeah, definitely a stressful situation last year, and I don't have that. So I'm full mind on racing right now.
And how much is the fire still there? You've done everything. You've won the 500. You've won championships. I take it you won a lot more.
I tell you, the fire's burning as hot as ever. I'm digging deep and still working as hard as I ever have. You know, I feel like I'm in my 20s.
Hey, next win would be number 42. He would tie Michael Andretti for 5th all time. That's Will Power. To Dylan Welch.
Joseph Newgarden starts 3rd today. He's the most recent winner on a street course here in the NTT IndyCar Series, winning the season opener at St. Pete. So we know the street course program is good, given how you performed at St. Pete. We know how good you are here. What kind of day can you have today from 3rd?
I think it's wide open. We can have a great day, but it can turn sideways pretty quickly. That's just the nature of motorsport, and I think it's definitely the nature of IndyCar racing is that you don't know how these races are always going to evolve. I think we're in position to have a great day. The Hitachi car has been quick all weekend. I think all 3 of our cars at Team Penske have been quick. Team Chevy's done a great job for us. The improvements that we felt at St. Pete, I do think they also relate to this track, and we're seeing it. But this is tough. I mean, the competition is never been tighter, and so we've got to get through the start. Try and make the right moves at the right points, and if we execute like always, then I think we can be in the fight for the win.
There's been some talk this weekend and all year about the improvements that Chevy has made just with the overall performance. Is this a track where you feel like those gains can be on display?
I do. I've noticed them right from the very beginning of the weekend, similar to St. Pete. So I'm encouraged for the race. I think you're going to see, at least from our side, I think you're going to see improvement in all areas. These races are won in a lot of ways. I mean, you got to be fuel efficient. You got to put the tires on at the right points. You got to execute on your marks. Have fast pit stops. But just from the Chevy side, I think they've improved all over the board, and that's going to be good on a day like today.
Joseph goes for his 2nd Long Beach win today, and if he does it, it ties him for 10th on the all-time IndyCar wins list.
Joseph Newgarden there, the championship leader, expressing his gratitude to Chevrolet for the improvements they've made. If you're new to IndyCar viewing, there's just 2 engine manufacturers in this sport, Chevrolet and Honda. Hinch, we've got a Chevrolet and Honda front row. How do you see the battle today?
Well, I mean, it was all Chevy up front at St. Pete for sure. Look, you can make a lot of horsepower. That's obviously what engines want to do. But if you can't put it to the ground, you can't really use it very well. And that's, I think, where Chevy have made those big improvements on the drivability. The ability for these drivers to come out of the corner, really get that horsepower down to the ground. We've seen that advantage in St. Pete. It's a big question mark. It seems a little more even here today.
Chevy might have improved, but it's not as if Honda and their HRC racing arm has been sitting still up in Santa Clarita, about 60 miles from here. Long Beach, I think, is a great comparison of the 2 manufacturers because you have the slowest corner on the schedule and one of the highest top speeds. Like James said, horsepower matters, but drivability also critical. Honda's been so good through the years, and they have the record here in terms of wins.
Let me just throw this your way. This is the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. GM really wants to win this, just like Honda won in Detroit last year. And whenever Honda wins in Detroit, they want to rub it in. So the rivalry is real. However, the numbers were massively skewed last year on road and street courses in favor of Honda. Will that trend continue today and this year? We'll see. Obviously, Chevrolet changed that on the streets of St. Petersburg at the Firestone Grand Prix earlier this year. What a day, what an afternoon we've got for you here. Ready to watch some motor racing on a Sunday afternoon from Southern California. We couldn't ask for any more. IndyCar is back, and we're ready to go racing. Glad that you are with us. the biggest event outside the Indianapolis 500.
If you can make a move, make a move.
It came late, but the contact was square.
I'm not going to apologize for that.
I wouldn't have chosen to do that. It's all gloves off from this point.
By the time that I remembered to stop the car, it was already too late.
Pato O'Ward spins! Kirkwood gets away with it! Kyle Kirkwood is your race winner!
Couldn't ask for a better day than that.
Nearly put me in tears. It was a really cool moment, no doubt.
Kyle Kirkwood, the defending race winner for Andretti Global. You heard Townsend and Hinch talk about it earlier. This can be a year changer, a game changer, a career changer. You know, changes the course, the trajectory of your career. Certainly what it did for Kyle Kirkwood last year. It was just the beginning. It wasn't only his first win, it was the vaulting point, because he went on and got a second win, the only 2 victories for the Andretti Global team last year. The laid-back Floridian, the surfer, the fisherman, he sure is good behind the wheel of a car. Let's learn more.
1 year ago, Kyle Kirkwood dominated here at Long Beach for his first career IndyCar win. So let's reflect back on that just quickly. How big of a weight was that lifted off your shoulders just to finally get it done?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to win an IndyCar race, you know. But we get 17 shots at it, and so it always feels like you should be able to win a couple of those. But it's just so hard, and to get that monkey off my back last year was like a really good feeling, and it just set us up for a ton of momentum throughout the year. And you feel it here when we come back here, right? Defending champion, defending pole winner. It is a lot of pressure, but it is confidence inspiring. Yesterday, we didn't have the best of qualifyings, but it's all right.
And you start 10th, and you're one of just a couple guys in the top 10 starting on the alternate tires, the softer tires. So how does that change, or how does that dictate your approach to the start of this race?
That's a tough one. To be honest, we're glad that there's a lot of primaries in front of us. We hope that the alternate tire is the better of the 2 tires. I think everyone's a little bit confused on if the green tire or the alternate tire is going to deg. That's the big question right now. So if it doesn't deg in this first stint, we'll be looking golden. But if it does, we might have to stop a little short, and that's not great for this place. You definitely want to go long. So see how it goes. Only time will tell.
Kyle's got some cars to pass today, but he'll go for his 2nd straight win at Long Beach.
Let's see what Kyle Kirkwood can do today. Townsend, you've been his teammate. You know how this young guy rolls. Do you think he's up to defending that win?
Oh, yeah, no question. I had dinner the other night, Friday night with Kyle Kirkwood. He was confident, he was loose, he was having fun. And I'll tell you one thing about this kid from Florida. He loves the big events. Look at his 2 wins in IndyCar so far. Nashville and Long Beach, 2 of our biggest party street races. And the vibe really energizes a guy like Kyle Kirkwood. But James, he's still young. He's still a little inexperienced. He's still a little rough around the edges at times. But if he gets to the front, he knows how to grab the trophy.
That's just what I was going to say. He shines when he's leading. He won so much in his junior Formula Car career. He's so experienced and so comfortable leading these races that if he gets up to the front, that's when it's trouble for the other drivers here. He's starting a little bit further back, obviously, than he did last year. But if he finds his way to the point, it's going to be tough to beat him.
2 other drivers used to winning and wanting to win all the time. Scott Dixon, Pato O'Ward, we showed you coming out of the commercial break. Let's remind you again, though, what went down here last year heading into Turn 8. This was one of the most talked about points from last year's race.
Yeah, you look at the arrow there showing where Pato O'Ward's eyes were focused. He could care less that Dixon was on the outside. And then this happened a little bit later with Kirkwood into the right rear of the Auto Nation driver. O'Ward's still staring there, but he should have probably been looking, James, at Kirkwood.
Yeah, it was kind of a love-hate relationship for Turn 8, and Pato O'Ward last year totally ruined his chance of a strong result, but it also created a little bit of a fiery relationship between him and Scott Dixon. You saw in that package. He wasn't going to apologize. Dixon said, that's not what I would have done. If these 2 find each other on track today, there could be some fireworks.
Haven't seen any moments of retribution from Scott Dixon yet, but I guess it's stay tuned. Marty Snyder can tell us more.
You know, it's funny, Diff. Pato and I were talking about this on Friday. Looking back a year later, did Scott Dixon have a right to be mad with how everything went down here last year? And has your relationship changed with him after that?
I mean, it can get a little emotional there, you know, just when there's a lot of hard work that goes into this, and I certainly didn't want to ruin his day like how it did, you know, and then I ruined my day by getting greedy. So I see him the same. I have massive respect for him. He's actually one of the guys, along with Will Power. When I was growing up, they were like my idols. You know, I think it might have changed the way he sees me, but it is what it is. I've raced him fair and square in in all the recent races, and that's what I like to do, right? But just sometimes it can get a little tight, and when you're just when you want something so much like a win or something, you sometimes need to take advantage and a little bit more risk than what you need to, and that's, I guess, the battle that you kind of fight through your whole career.
Starting 14th today, real quick, what's the plan to get back to the front?
What's the plan? Well, I saw a lot of guys are starting primaries. I thought we were going to be we're starting primaries, but I didn't think everyone else would as well. So, it'll be important to get a good start. This is a very track position race, so it'll be all about how many positions can you get in the start, and then just clean pit stop sequences, because it can get messy really quick.
And it also can be done. Colton Herta started 14th a few years ago and won this race. For the other side of this incident from last year, let's hear from Kevin and Scott Dixon.
Well, Marty, a year later, I don't think Scott Dixon's opinion on that incident has changed. So my question is it still on your mind, and does it impact how you race Pato moving forward?
No, definitely not on my mind, man. That was a year ago, as you just pointed out. Obviously, sometimes that happens in races. We cleared the air, I think, pretty shortly after that, and there's no point keeping beef about silly things like that. So, we'll go on. Hopefully have a clear day today. It'll be interesting. I think it will be really interesting on in and out laps. Tires are pretty hard here. Temperatures are really cool, so it's going to be an interesting race, especially with crossovers and especially with people coming out of the pits.
From 8th, do you have to do anything unique to get to the front?
I don't know. I think it's pretty straightforward as far as strategy goes. Last year it got pretty tricky, obviously, with some cautions and where they were placed and how that became a bit of a fuel thing in the end. But I think we have great speed. Kind of made a bit of a mistake in qualifying, which we missed by 300ths, making it to Q3. Car's got great speed. We were second fastest this morning, so just keep it clean, man. If we keep it clean and keep it simple, I think we should have a good shot here.
Lee, the next win for Scott Dixon will be number 57, just 10 away from AJ Foyt.
Scott Dixon till his 9th try to win here on the streets of Long Beach. Hence, should we count him in the conversation today?
You can never count out the 9 car. That team is so experienced on the strategy side. Scott Dixon is a smooth operator. He knows how to get these things done. Qualifying's never been Scott's strongest suit, but he knows how to execute on race day. Starting from 8th, though, Pato O'Ward said it. This is a bit of a track position race. You've got to do something different than the cars in front. He has to be the first guy in an alternate strategy, but that is exactly what Mike Hull and the 9 car is really good at doing.
Well, and the other thing with Dixon, we saw him get muscled into the wall there last year by Pato O'Ward. He plays it off like he's kind of forgotten all about that. I promise you, there is no way Dixon forgot that. But what Dixon loves more than payback is championships. And the way he's achieved that 6 times is gobbling up points like Pac-Man wherever they're available. But if he finds a way to shoulder O'Ward and score max points, he'll take it. If anybody could do it, it'll be Dixon.
All right, I want to ask you one quick question about a newcomer to IndyCar, and that is Teo Porcher. He continues this migration from Europe, from the F2 Championship to IndyCar, to join the likes of Christian Lundgaard and Marcus Armstrong. The list goes on. How's he going to fare today, by the way? He'd never even tested an IndyCar until Friday in first practice.
It's a hard track to learn if you've never been here. It's almost impossible in a car you've never driven either. The fact that he had to do both, it just shows the talent level, the experience level, the approach that he brought to this. The team's super impressed. He's executing very well. That said, today's going to be long. It's going to be physical. He's going to have to experience things that he hasn't in the 3 sessions he's had in his storied IndyCar career so far. It's going to be a big ask, but he can still pull off a good result.
And listen, with no experience, it's all the little things. As Pato O'Ward, Porcher's teammate, just said, it can get messy quick here. He's got no experience doing pit stops. That's the one I'm concerned about.
It's a tough place to make your debut, so we'll see what kind of a day it's going to be for Teo Porcher. He's excited to be here in IndyCar, as are we.
Long Beach, outside of the Indy 500, is probably our flagship event.
The Long Beach Grand Prix belongs to Alexander Rossi.
The history of IndyCar in Long Beach is very extensive.
So Long Beach is the race that I grew up going to. I was 2 weeks old when my father was racing in it, so I'd gone pretty much every year. Now I'm able to race in it.
This will be his 6th career win, and he gets to do it in Southern California where he grew up.
I think it's always a very special atmosphere there. It's one of the most enjoyable street courses I've ever driven.
Such a racy racetrack.
Long Beach is a roller coaster of a street course with all the very unique corners.
The famous Andretti name with a young American behind the wheel, Kyle Kirkwood, is your latest IndyCar winner.
To be able to get my first win there, it was also where Michael Andretti got his first win, is something that was really special to me.
You can hear it in the drivers' voices. Long Beach means just a little bit more. Just a perfect day here in Southern California. Time for today's pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as Chaplain Chuck Lessick of IndyCar Ministries offers today's invocation.
Let's pray. Lord God, we pause for just a moment to invite you into our race today. We just thank you for your unending love and the way that you love us unconditionally, and ask that you help us love each other in that way. We invite your presence here today and just ask for a safe yet exciting race today. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chuck. We appreciate that. Please remain standing as the soldiers from the Long Beach Army Recruiting Company present our nation's colors. Here to honor America with the singing of our national anthem, please welcome Tim Kepler.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Boy, that's the way to get things kicked off for one of the crown jewel events for IndyCar. You know, one of the best things about the IndyCar series is the international influence. The series has attracted former F1 drivers such as Romain Grosjean and Marcus Ericsson. Why are they leaving home to come to IndyCar? Well, here's what the drivers think.
I like to think that when me and Felix went here in 2019 from European racing, it sort of opened a lot of eyes to IndyCar racing.
Marcus Ericsson joins Kenny Brack as the only other Swede.
You did it, buddy. You just won the Indy 500.
You know, Sweden is a small country, and I always looked for other options, and the American ladder was always so good, and you could become a professional driver.
Rosenqvist is an IndyCar race winner.
For me, myself, I've looked up to Marcus and Felix for a very long time. So now to finally be able to race against them is very, very cool. But I'm proud to add to the Scandinavian army coming over here in IndyCar.
In Denmark, we have a great program. It's called Team Denmark, which helps young talent financially through training camps. And I've been part of that program. I know Christian Lundgaard has been part of that program as well.
Christian Lundgaard here in Toronto is an IndyCar race winner.
I think all the young talents that are being left without a seat are moving more towards the road to Indy because it's a philosophy that works extremely well.
It's not only the competition that attracts Caesar drivers from around the world, but also the venues like this one in Southern California. Names like Mario Andretti, Al Unser Jr., and Danny Sullivan have all won here. This track also has one of the most iconic turns in all of racing, the fountain at Long Beach. And that's where we find Kevin Lee.
Marty, this is the spot that I think identifies this famous race. It's the one that I think of when I watch on television. But this fountain and the dolphin statues have not always been here. They were added in 1988, and this was not part of the course until 1999. They used to turn right in turn one, but this is a critical part of the course as well because it's the slowest part, and they're slow for a while, so you can make up time here. It can really decide things. Now to Dylan Welch.
Kevin, there are two iconic corners here at Long Beach. We're down here in turn 11. This is the hairpin. It's not only one of the most chaotic corners here on this circuit, it's one of the most chaotic corners in the entire world across all racetracks. It's so fascinating to watch the hand movement when these cars come down here. They slow all the way down nearly to a complete stop and get turned all the way around. The hand over hand movement just to get the car pointed back the other direction. Will Power mentioned that the cars are sliding across this surface more this year than they ever have before. That should make it pretty entertaining and difficult for these cars to stay off of each other in the tight quarters racing down here. But you've got to nail it if you want to have success here at Long Beach. This is maybe one of the most important corners on this course.
Dylan, I have a feeling that's where the action will be to start the race. Hey, race fans, now's your chance to drive away with a new Corvette, courtesy of Hy-Vee. Grab your mobile device and scan the QR code on your screens all season. You can enter for a chance to win one of 3 Corvettes. Green flag number 2 of the 2024 IndyCar season coming up shortly here on USA.
55,000 people cheer for Andretti. There is Al Unser Jr., and he wins 4 straight at Long Beach.
He has done it again. Alex Zanardi, back-to-back wins in Long Beach.
Elio Castroneves has done it.
Sebastian Bourdais, the winner of Long Beach.
That was just one of my best wins, I reckon. I loved it.
Winner, winner, back-to-back. Great job.
Oh my God! Just can't believe it. Lost for words.
Long Beach, guys. Long Beach. It's been a while. Thank you.
Kyle Kirkwood, he wins at Long Beach. What an afternoon we have for you here in Southern California as NBC Sports welcomes you to the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. It's round 2 of the 2024 NTT IndyCar Series. Yes, from this famed beachside, street-side locale. And it couldn't be better. 64 degrees, blue sky day. We're ready to go. James Hinchcliffe as an event winner here. You know what it takes to get to victory lane. So who are you looking at?
I'm looking at this guy right here, Diff. Will Power in the 12 has been so fast all weekend long. Yes, just lost pole position by a couple thousandths of a second, but over practice I looked at his consistency. We saw that Penske over a long run in St. Pete really had the advantage over the other teams. He's won here before. He wants to come back from not winning for the first time in his career last season. I think Will Power's got a great shot at the victory.
T-Bell? Well, for me, look at the pole sitter, Felix Rosenqvist. What an impressive debut the driver of the 60 has made for his brand new race team, Meyershank Racing. This team has invested in top talent with the Fro Show here. He's delivering week in and week out to start the season. He has the harder black Firestone on. He said just a few minutes ago he's concerned a little bit about how aggressive Power is going to be, but it's not just the front row. There is so much more coming from behind, Dylan.
And the 2023 F2 champ Teo Pourchaire hadn't even driven an IndyCar until the first practice session on Friday this weekend. He's in this rotating cast in the Aero McLaren 6 car, filling in for David Malukas, and wants to demonstrate his racecraft today and show everybody he can deliver a complete weekend. And it sounds like, from speaking to him a bit ago, if Malukas can't go next week at Barber, he's in line to potentially make his second start in as many weeks, Kevin.
Dylan, along with the Indy 500, Marcus Ericsson's 3 other wins have come on street courses. He's coming off a great run here last year of third, but he still gets reminded on social media of when he made a mistake, crashed running third 2 years ago, and then was stranded in turn 5 the rest of the race. If he wins today, maybe he should celebrate there too, Marty Snyder.
Kevin, had it not been for a brush with the wall and been on the...
A little audio problem there, as you can hear, with Marty's mic.
What?
And we'll get back to Marty when that is resolved. This man here would love to get another Acura Grand Prix victory in his home state here in California. All right, you ready to crank this up? Let's go trackside for the command.
Fluffy Iglesias. Drivers, start your engines!
It's been a long time since we raced for real for points, some 5 weeks. Time to get serious when we come back. You know how racetracks are kind of tucked away in out-of-the-way places where people won't hear the noise? Yeah, that's not here. That's not Long Beach. Look at where we are. And this event that's been happening since the mid-70s, but for IndyCar since the mid-1980s, it is celebrated and it is loved. So great to have you with our coverage this afternoon. Feels good to get the NTT IndyCar Series back on track. Feels good to introduce you to this Acura starting grid for a first time ever. Front row starting duo of Felix Rosenqvist and Will Power. Let's continue the stories. Here's Kevin Lee.
Scott McLaughlin Lee was quietly seething yesterday after he said he messed up in qualifying, but he loves street races, almost half of them in Australian supercars where Scott's a legend were on the streets. His first win in IndyCar at St. Pete. He told me the car is good. He's going to be aggressive to try to make something happen from 11th. Marty Snyder.
Kevin in the pre-race, Pat O'Ward told me that, quote, it can get messy quick here at Long Beach. He is hoping that this start does not get messy. Pat O told me after our interview, the start is where I have my opportunity today. Can I take advantage and how quickly can I pounce? I need to get a few spots, he told me, on the start. If I don't, it could be a long day for our 5 team. Dylan, I'm glad to see you're still hanging out down there in the hairpin.
I think we're going to hang out here for the first couple laps, Marty. This is one of the most hectic places on this racetrack. It can end your race on lap 1. It can end your race sometimes even before that, just trying to maintain your starting position when you're coming to the green flag. So we're going to sit down here just for the first couple laps, and they're going to be right on top of us as they come by here. We'll call all the action down here from the hairpin.
That's a great spot, mate. Enjoy it. It truly is special. Hinch has been down there before, not only as a driver, but in his role as a broadcaster as well. Time to take you to the Honda track preview. Fellas, talk us around.
Well, home sweet home. We talk about the hairpin at Long Beach, but in terms of raceability, it's all about turn 1 there at the end of Shoreline Drive. It's wide, good braking opportunity from top speed, but then things narrow up through the turns 3 and 4, James. And then this is another passing opportunity coming to turn 6.
Downhill brake zone, easy to make a mistake, and then uphill aggressively on the exit. We talked about the elevation here, which for a street circuit is so bizarre. Turn 8, we saw a lot of action there last year, but today, this weekend, turn 9 has been a very, very tricky corner.
It's really dark on the pavement there. That's because Formula Drift and all the other support series lay down a ton of rubber that allows you to get this, a great drive out of the tightest turn on the calendar. Turn 11, the hairpin at Long Beach. That'll fire you back down the main straight where you might be able to make a move.
Leading this field is the official pace car of the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, and it is the Acura NSX Type S supercar, and it's being driven by Oriol Servia. Although born in Spain, Oriol's called the LA area home for quite a while, so he feels pretty comfortable right here. The NSX Type S features both a turbocharged engine and electric hybrid system that puts out more than 600 horsepower to make it the highest performing Acura ever. And there's going to be something different this year, fellas, for Oriol Servia and the rest of the field. Now, Oriol's going to slow here in a lapse time to really bring the field together, to get them to pack together, to grid up. Race Control has made a decision this year not for Oriol to leave the circuit there, but to bring them all the way around the hairpin to try and make them pack up, grid up a little bit tighter, to make the start a little bit more uniform. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I like the concept from IndyCar. It was really a proposal from the drivers, I think, to try to stack things up a little better so the leaders don't just pull away and go single file. But, James, I think what we've heard consistently this morning and through last night, we have way too many drivers that think they are way too good deep in the field. And with a stacked up start, I think we're in for a very dramatic first couple of corners.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think we're going to see some fireworks down in turn one. The other interesting thing about the start here at Long Beach, because the hairpin is so slow, as you come out of it, you have to accelerate up to that pace car speed to catch up to the back of the grid. That said, at some point the green flag flies, one or two drivers are still in that acceleration mode. They can just keep the hammer down. They've got the momentum going for them. We saw this with Joseph Newgarden last year at the start, an enraged Scott Dixon, but that's something we often see here.
So it's a magical day for Felix Rosenqvist and the Meyer Shank organization to be leading this field to green. This has been a turnaround year and season for this guy, if you wish. Let's go inside the team and have a listen to some recent radio.
I think we have a good plan. We've obviously had a really good weekend, good start to the year. Let's just be smart and stick to the game.
Yeah, I like it. Just get me through it, keep me posted, give me the picture, and we'll try to execute here, guys. Awesome job so far.
He's made 80 starts in his career, Felix Rosenqvist. He's won one race. He wants to change that statistic.
He said he wouldn't challenge Will Power too much in turn one, but I think you got to be careful. You cannot let a guy that's won 41 IndyCar races and drives for Team Penske, no less, get away and control the pace. Rosenqvist, I think, has to pounce.
Last year was Will Power's first year in 17 years that he hadn't won a race, at least a race in a season. That is a thing that bugs him. It annoys him. And Will Power is about to put that statistic beyond, if he can, this year. But it's Felix Rosenqvist who gets a great start in the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. The Meyer Shank Honda leads them down the front straight.
The Fro Show with the jump. Watch the yellow and red car of Alex Palou looking 3 wide, but Will Power to the outside.
Power sweeps around and gets Rosenqvist in turn one.
They get through turn one fine. Now it's the fountain side by side. Doesn't normally work here. Christian Lundgaard slotting in behind Scott Dixon, being smart about it here. So far, the fireworks have not happened.
But up front, that's exactly what Rosenqvist told us. He wasn't going to challenge too hard. I think, you got to be so careful to let Will Power control the pace. Power now can drive as slow as he needs to protect his softer Firestone tires.
And it was pretty cagey of Power to tuck in behind Rosenqvist nice and early at the start to get that toe.
It was a great jump from Rosie, but it's a long run down to turn one. Again, this guy's won here before. He knows how to get it done. He's on those softer tires. He knew he had to pounce early, and that's exactly what he's done. But the question is, can his teammate Joseph Newgarden, third right there, the black and white Hitachi Chevy, can he put any moves on Felix to try to keep Will Power within sight?
Well, speaking of Will Power, I think I would be on the radio as there's trouble in the hairpin for Christian Rasmussen. Got all checked up. It almost looks like he kicked into anti-stall.
Yeah, when the revs drop too low, that motor will save itself from stalling by going into an anti-stall. It essentially finds a neutral. You've got to grab the clutch and then release it again to get going. He was side by side with one of the Hunkos Halder cars, just kind of tightened up the exit for him, and that's what started it.
So just to finish the point, Diff, with Will Power, do you get on the radio right away and start saying, hey, slow it down. We don't need to open up a gap here. Just protect your alternates, keep the lead.
I think so, absolutely, because you know what would be very much, Marty, in the minds of all Team Penske drivers is what happened to Joseph Newgarden here last year when he led early. Good inside move there. Well done. Diving on the inside, that was Kyle Kirkwood in the Andretti Global Honda. Marty?
Diff, that was already in the playbook for Will Power and his team. Ron Rzuski, as strategist, said if we can get to the front, that's more passing back in the field. If they could get to the front for Power, they wanted to take it easy, but they thought being on these alternates was their best shot, Hinch, to be able to jump on the start and get around Felix Rosenqvist, and it worked.
Wow, Rinus VK just absolutely chewed up Alexander Rossi, who might have a problem because the number 7 McLaren car looked slow and he immediately came to pit lane.
Yeah, you see now on board with Rossi in the 7 into pit lane. This is not a scheduled stop, Dylan.
They had a left rear issue that they saw on the data, and this hurts because they had started on the alternates. I guess it's a good thing because they're done with them now. They'll go to sticker primaries here, but a lot of ground to make up for Rossi.
Of course, the rules dictate you have to run each tire compound in the race. Let's see on board now. This is Pato O'Ward. That's Alex in front of him. Oh, he hit by his own teammate in the fountain. And you heard the anti-stall kick in there for Pato. That's where the damage came from. That is not good.
Right front wing end fence carbon fiber blade got right into Rossi's rear tire. We've seen that so many times.
So there is Pato O'Ward in the number 5, the Arrow McLaren Chevy. Let's go to the hairpin. Here's Dylan Welsh.
It is dicey down here already. And Townsend, you nailed it. Rasmussen a couple laps ago got into anti-stall. For now, everybody pretty civilized through here and starting to spread out. So it's amazing how close they're getting. Right here when they come by us, I can reach out and about touch these guys right there.
Don't drop your iPad, mate.
Yeah, Dylan, don't turn your back to the IndyCars. They're literally 14 inches away.
Race control, by the way, is looking at the 5 and the 7. Pato O'Ward and his teammate Alexander Rossi. So Will Power leads his teammate Joseph Newgarden, and then Marcus Ericsson. Felix Rosenquist, the pole man, has dropped back to 4th. Then Colton Herta, Alex Palou, his teammate Scott Dixon, and then Kyle Kirkwood, Lundgaard, and Armstrong in the top 10. Let's show you this move for 3rd place. Here is Marcus Ericsson on fellow Swede.
Just clinical stuff, textbook up the inside there, no defense from Rosenquist.
Inside one only.
And Ericsson, you know, he was one of the stars of the show last year at Long Beach, finished 3rd after being dropped down the order a little bit. He is very comfortable at this racetrack, and it is showing right now. Highest running Andretti Global cars, he slots into a podium position, just the 2 Penske's in front.
And you saw those 6 green lights light up on the steering wheel of Marcus Ericsson. That's push to pass being active. He's on it again. They get 200 seconds per race. And now you've got Colton Herta pressuring Rosenquist. So, man, Rosenquist from front to back's already lost 3 spots. And now he's got the young American and former winner here at Long Beach hungry for another position.
Never gets old, does it? That low shot, beautiful. As you look at the Gainbridge Honda of Colton Herta, as he is just shadowing Rosenquist now. But let's get back to that intra-team incident at Arrow McLaren, and let's talk more about Pato O'Ward, Marty.
Just checked in with Will Anderson, the strategist for Pato O'Ward, and he said he did ask Pato what happened there when the Rossi contact happened. He said, I was pushed into him. It was not my fault, Kevin.
Got a pretty good idea who it might be, because right after that, Tom Blomqvist was concerned about damage to the front wing. They were about to come down, and Blomqvist, by the way, started right behind those 2 Arrow McLarens. They think the car is okay. The 66 is staying out.
Will Power leads his Team Penske teammate and championship leader by almost 4 seconds. Biggest mover early on, Rinus VK. You're watching USA's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Acura, precision crafted performance. Hy-Vee. This racing season, you can help Hy-Vee reach their goal of 100 million meals by visiting Hy-Vee.com. And by Fleet Cost and Care. Unleash the full potential of your fleet with Fleet Cost and Care software. So, as we welcome you back, we've got some news from race control, and it's not good if you're a Pato O'Ward fan of Arrow McLaren. He has to perform a drive-through penalty, avoidable contact on breaking the golden rule on your teammate.
Well,
hitting your teammate, but it wasn't, he said, it wasn't his fault.
If Tom Blomqvist got into the back of Pato O'Ward and that's what shoved him forward into the back of Rossi, let's watch this again, see if we can hear it.
I think so, because he was steering and getting shoved into Rossi. So if I'm Pato O'Ward and Aaron McLaren, look at this shot. Top of your screen. Does Pato get hit? No, not even close. Race control, good job.
So that was just Pato locking up and trying to get out of it. If anything, if he had lifted off the brakes, he may have been able to sneak left around the outside, Marty, but now he's going to have to serve that penalty.
Well, and for what it's worth, the original story to Will Anderson, hey, I got contact put into Rossi, and then a moment ago when Will Anderson told him, hey, we have to serve that drive-through, he said, copy. That was the only response he had. Didn't argue it, so maybe he's kind of saying, yeah, maybe that was a little more on me than I admitted.
And that's just so tough, guys. This team rolled off the truck so quick. Pato quickest in the first practice, missed the mark a little bit in qualifying, and now in one moment, both of their cars that were fighting for a good position have problems. Rossi with the flat and Pato with the penalty.
And on a weekend where F1 is competing simultaneous, it's Zach Brown, McLaren CEO, McLaren Racing CEO is here, and he is not happy. I talked to him yesterday. He was not happy after qualifying. He will be particularly incensed at the way this thing has started for all three of his drivers.
That's what a 5.5 second lead looks like. They're heading towards you, Dylan, in the hairpin.
Well, and you can see why as they come through here, why Power has a 5.5 second lead. The roll speed he has through the center of the corner is way, way higher than everybody else who's behind him. Now, part of that is the alternate tires, the softer tires, but he is just really good, and it gives you a great perspective down here watching the angle of the front tires of whose car is good and who's not. You really can see who's kind of down in the racetrack and who's got a lot of grip. Power definitely looks like the best, and there's some guys behind him who I would imagine are not very happy on the radio because their cars do not look like they're driving very well.
And look, there are other cars out there on the alternate tire. That's a softer tire. It's going to give you more grip, but Will's the only one that's got the soft tire and clean air, Townsend. That makes such a difference around any racetrack in one of these race cars.
Trying to wrap my mind around Dylan Welch standing like a foot and a half from race cars. That's pretty cool.
As we all know, he's a driver. He's loving it.
He looks fearless down there.
He may stay there all race long. Hey, let's drift back through the field a little bit more. I want to take you to 18th place and introduce you to Théo Pourchaire, the 20-year-old French driver. Spoke to you about him in the pre-race show. He is the reigning F2 champion. This kid is a superstar and was on a rocket ship ride to Formula One, and maybe he still might be, but right now he's in an IndyCar, and this guy is super talented, super nice, and only sat in an IndyCar for the first time on Friday. He's been living in a hotel in Indianapolis for the last couple of weeks. He's been at the race team every single day, soaking up every bit that he can, and he is stepping up, and guys, he's made up 4 positions early on.
And if we didn't see sponsor logos or helmet colors, just watching his hands here, this looks like a driver firmly in control of the situation, and he might know on the radio, listen, the McLaren hopes rest with you now. Your 2 teammates are 26th and 27th with O'Ward and Rossi troubles. So now you carry the hopes of the whole team.
As we ride on board here, let's take a look at the Firestone telemetry. This guy's really had a baptism of fire driving an IndyCar for the first time on his first lap ever around Long Beach. We talked about it at the top of the show. This is such a challenging street circuit because of the mix of corners, because of the elevation, but he has really taken to it very well.
T-Bell, I got a question for you. I was talking to Théo this morning. He's never driven a car, obviously, his F2 car, and whenever he's been in an F1 car situation, that has the halo. It doesn't have the aero screen. So how big a deal is that?
Well, I never raced with the aero screen, but I know that it's about a couple laps, and you're used to it is sort of what I've heard. That's how good of a job IndyCar did in developing the optics of the glass that covers just in front of that vertical spar that you see. Let's listen.
A little bit of oversteer and shooting under the corner, but that's okay.
A little bit of oversteer as he turns in, but he says, that's okay, nothing new. He's behind Pietro Fittipaldi, continuing to learn. And I think for him, it's Théo, it's get all the laps today, get through the first round of pit stops without any drama, and then kind of see where things stack up.
It's funny seeing him behind Fittipaldi here. I think these two guys have shared the racetrack in F1 machinery during young driver testing, reserve driver testing, and now here they are sharing IndyCar machinery around Long Beach.
All right, let's go back up front. Marty, that lead has grown to 6.5 seconds for Will Power over his teammate.
Yeah, could the longest winless streak of Will Power's career come to an end today? It sits at 29 races right now. And Diff, you're right, 6.5 seconds. Look at that. Top left of your screen over his teammate, Joseph Newgarden. Just checked in with Ron Rzuski, his strategist. And I told Ron, I said, Will told me if he got out to the lead, he was going to save tires. And he said, he is saving tires. I mean, come on, Hinch. I mean, is it really possible? A 6.5 second lead and saving tires for Will Power right now? Is that feasible?
It's feasible. I bet he could be saving more tire if he wanted to. But Townsend and I, we were having this debate earlier. Is the right move to drive a bit slower, save a little bit of that tire, and maybe not have the fall off in lap time later in the stint? Or if you think it's going to go green, do you try to build up?
Tires, 6.6 second lead.
Yeah, there you go. The order from the team. Try to take care of your tires. But to finish the thought, is the other mindset here, if you think it's going to go green, get that gap as big as possible.
Oh, Christian Rasmussen heavy into the wall. That looks like the exit of turn 4 maybe.
Yeah, I think it is, guys. We've seen a lot of drivers clip the exit of turn 4, never with these consequences, though.
Yeah, it broke mid-corner there.
First caution of the race and a first big moment we've seen for the rookie. That's Jack Harvey in the Invest Honda for Dale Coyne Racing. Damage there. Rasmussen had done well in qualifying. What a shame. Let's have a look what went down.
That's a very bizarre. He said it just broke, and I think he means something in the car.
I think the left rear suspension looks like the.
I wonder if he clipped a wall maybe earlier in the lap.
It's a good point.
I don't see any mark on the tire, though. I didn't see that, but that was a very, very quick turnaround, and Jack Harvey, just an innocent victim there, nowhere to go. And significant damage to the Dale Coyne Racing entry.
It's just the back end of the pod. I feel like for Harvey, they could tape that up. But yeah, I'm looking at. Oh, it looks like the right rear maybe had an issue.
Poor old Jack Harvey, he was trying to get by as swiftly as he could, but that gap was narrowing very rapidly. And this talented youngster, that marks the end of his first ever Acura Long Beach Grand Prix. The Guy Care Chevy for Ed Carpenter Racing. You're going to see a lot more of this young man throughout the course of this year. Super talented, very similar to Kyle Kirkwood with a stellar road to Indy career. But unfortunately, his day has ended this way.
Riding on board with Will Power back at Long Beach, who has led all but 2 laps today. And under this caution, Ron Rzuski made the call to bring Will Power to pit road. Only a handful of cars came to pit road, though, and there were several that stayed out. The reason the other cars stayed out, it would be a massive fuel save to make it to the end of the race on one more stop. If you could make it to the end of the race on one more stop, they might need caution, but this is really going to change the game up here at Long Beach, Diff.
Sure is. It really is. And
Well, that could have went either way, bud. So I think this is going to be the right call.
There you go. Just
Keyword, I think this is going to be the right call. Listen, for Team Penske, they got split strategies, right?
Sure.
You're covered with Newgarden, you're covered with Will Power. I promise you, though, one of the two is going to be really mad at the end of this race and wish they would have done the opposite at this exact moment. Good news for race fans. We've got a race on our hands now. This is going to be fun to watch because Will Power has to save mad fuel, but he's been mad fast without even trying so far.
And ultimately, you've got these split strategies, these 2 different strategies, but you have 2 of the best in the business on that alternate strategy leading it, Will Power and Scott Dixon. And look, Christian Lundgaard and Kyle Kirkwood as well, no slouches on street courses. They've both won at tracks like this. Kirkwood's won here. So now we have a very interesting situation to play out, but ultimately, guys, nobody knows what's going to happen. You cannot predict how the yellows are going to fall. The team had to make this decision, and it's great that they were able to split it.
Now, even though Power's going to be in mad fuel save mode, circumstances change a little bit later where he can go to the gas a bit harder. He is the only driver in the field who has yet to use any push to pass because he hasn't had to.
But push to pass gives you more power, but it also burns more fuel. So that's going to be a challenge for him to think through. Let's look at something that happened on pit road with the 45 here. Christian Lundgaard.
On your left, on your left, on your left.
And there's Kyle Kirkwood. A little bit of a cuddle there.
Whoa, whoa.
I think they'll be all right, but that could have been a race ender for either one.
It's such a tight pit lane here at Long Beach. It's easy for that sort of thing to happen. Race control usually frowns upon contact in pit lane, but I think kind of no harm, no foul on that one.
Joseph Newgarden led 27 laps in this Acura Grand Prix last year, but did not drive to victory lane. It was a strategy that kind of went upside down and backwards on him. So do they have another chance to right a wrong from last year? We go back racing here at the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. And the last two guys to win the last two Indianapolis 500s are first and second in this race.
Team Penske and then Andretti as Ericsson and Herta looking pretty racy down shoreline.
We saw Joseph Newgarden almost doing his Indy 500 trick, trying to weave down the front straightaways. We see Lundgaard making a move there on Kyle Kirkwood into turn one.
Exiting turn 8. This is the back straight, the run up to turn 9. Remember that really bumpy approach here. It's caused so many undone looks. See the bumps there on Newgarden. Herta, hello in that bright red and yellow DHL Honda.
It's these two guys right here on that alternate strategy. Will Power in the black and white car, Scott Dixon in the blue and orange. They're racing each other for effectively the lead of the alternate strategy, even though they're down in 12th and 13th place right now.
And wouldn't it be just like Scott Dixon to just sneak his way over good pit stops and good racecraft on that alternate strategy? Dixon runs second. 51 there, and Nolan Siegel battling it out with, I think, Alexander Rossi. Was that Pocher? No, that's Rossi.
But Pocher's a couple up the road. So good showing from the young Frenchman in his first IndyCar race. By the way, fellas, race control are looking at that pit lane incident. Remember that? With Lundgaard and Kirkwood.
Yeah, the penalty to analyze is, was it an unsafe release for the Rahal Letterman Lanigan team in the number 45? It's super tight at Long Beach on pit lane. Not a lot of room left to right, so they'll look at that closely. We'll circle back and let you know.
Rinus VK is running a really strong race. Rinus is in 6th at the moment. He's one of those cars yet to pit. But there he is there in the black and green, number 21 for Ed Carpenter Racing. Strong start to this season. He finished 10th on the streets of St. Pete in the Firestone Grand Prix as we ride aboard Felix Rosenquist.
And if you hear there, no fuel save coming, because for these cars on the primary strategy, Marty, they'll probably go to about lap 32 to 34 before they have to make their first stop.
Yeah, meanwhile, Will Power leading the alternate strategy back there in 12th. And Townsend, I'd love your take on this. They have not given Will Power a fuel number from the timing stand yet. So how do they play the rest of this race? They know they have one of the best cars here at Long Beach today. They also know there's a massive fuel save in front of them. Do you let them go, or do you handcuff them and say, hey, we're going to play that there will not be a later caution. We cannot afford to burn fuel right now.
Well, Marty, it's a good question. I think what the Power team is going to look at is this gap. 7.5 seconds to the leader.
Same number.
So they need to stay within about 40 seconds in order to cover the pit stop that'll undoubtedly be happening in about another 10 laps. So I think strategy's all about timing to the leader at this point.
Power has used a little bit of juice with push to pass, but not much. You're watching USA's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT IndyCar Series. Hy-V, this racing season you can help Hy-V reach their goal of 100 million meals by visiting Hy-V.com. Liberty Mutual Insurance, only pay for what you need. And by Acura, precision crafted performance. Welcoming you back to a beautiful afternoon in Southern California. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe with you, along with Kevin Lee, Marty Snyder, Dylan Welsh. And this is the one and only Long Beach Grand Prix. Joseph Newgarden leads the way, the championship leader, I guess you could say appropriately. He's out in front, but he's on a different strategy. to his teammate Will Power, who has already stopped. However, Power, since stopping, has lost a position to a driver on the same strategy. Here comes Scott Dixon to take that position away.
And this alternate strategy that these two drivers are on is going to require big fuel save, and we all know there's nobody better in the business at that than Scott Dixon. So he can fuel save, keep the pace up, and as you saw him go by, you saw the green sidewall on those tires. He's on the alternates, the softer tire, making that pass a bit easier.
He might be good at fuel save, but he's used a lot of push to pass. Scott Dixon, 63 seconds consumed. Will Power, very, very budget-minded. Only 7 seconds Will Power's used of the 200 available for that extra power boost.
Car 9, position 9 at the season opener at St. Pete. We've got a decision from race control as Rinus VeeKay goes on the inside of Jack Harvey. Unsafe release by Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan and the Hy-Vee Honda.
That is rough for Christian Lundgaard. He runs effectively third on the alternate strategy. And we'll see if he comes to serve the penalty this time. No.
For an unsafe release, we have to let 5 cars go by and drop back behind car 8.
So,
okay.
In terms of penalty severeness, not too bad. No drive-through necessary. You got to let by 5 cars. That's a lot. But it'd be a lot worse if it was the 40-second drop driving through.
Yeah, it's a long, long pit lane here, so it's a lot of time lost for a drive-through, as we saw with Pato O'Ward.
He's already let one through, which is Kirkwood. McLaughlin's lining up to go through. There goes Graham Rahal. Here comes Marcus Armstrong.
And then Linus Lundqvist, and that is it now.
Tires are all going back on. There's a car coming. Another car coming. On your left, on your left, on your left, on your left.
Now, as a driver, I'm going to put that more on the box with the radio communication. Saying a car's coming doesn't tell me what I'm supposed to do. It's informational, but it sounded like on your left came too late. How do you feel about it?
I agree. If that audio was synced up perfectly with the video, they were saying the panic came after the contact had happened. So I'm kind of with you. A little bit more information for Christian there would have been helpful, but he took it in stride. You heard his radio response back was, okay, and now look, he's going right back to work on the outside of Linus Lundqvist.
Left side.
Into turn 1. Beautiful move.
Clear.
Back on the attack. That's something different too. Different color scheme on Linus Lundqvist's car. There's a wonderful collaboration between Jerry Seinfeld's latest project, which is a movie, in essence about a Pop-Tart, but it's a collaboration. It's a collaboration with American Legion, and there is a serious side to this collaboration because, as you know, with American Legion, it's to help prevent veteran suicide. Speaking with Dean Kessel of American Legion yesterday, he said, look, we have to explain it, but it makes sense. What do comedic movies do? They make you laugh. If they can make you laugh, it puts you in a positive mindset, and we want to do everything we can do. Jerry Seinfeld was totally on board with it, so this collaboration between Seinfeld and his people, the movie, American Legion, and, of course, Chip Ganassi Racing. And a reminder in a more formal sense that American Legion is dedicated to helping veterans through their toughest times by creating an outlet for vets to be the one to ask, listen, and reach out for help. Learn more at www.betheone.org. Townsend? Seinfeld name is very near and dear in your household, isn't it?
Well, one of the best sitcoms ever. The residual checks for my wife's guest starring role continue to flow, but it doesn't really make it my way. It's not for mountain bike parts. It seems to find other means.
If you don't know, we're being a little bit cryptic here, folks. Townsend's wife, Heather, well, the two gentlemen sitting beside me, their respective wives are in the entertainment business, movies and shows, etc. And Heather was in the episode The Package. What was her character again?
Photo Match Sheila. Wait till after the race before you perform your Google search, but it's a good one. I think it's in the top 30 of all time. James, how about your residual checks? When they come to Becky, how do you spend those?
She gets to spend her own money. I don't touch that.
Marty?
Here comes the pole winner, Felix Rosenqvist, to pit road. A little bit on the early side for those who are on the primary strategy. And he really fell back from the pole and kind of ran 7th and 8th before that first caution. and everyone pitting at lap 17. I asked Adam Rovazini what was going on with the car. He said we had some weird brake temperature spiking. We may have had some debris in one of our inlets not allowing air to the brakes, but this is brand new alternate tires. One of the first of the primary guys to pit here on this strategy. We'll see where he cycles out. Pit stops coming, though, for the rest of the field, Diff.
Yeah, the good news there, Marty, is it looks like Rosenqvist will be in clean air, depending on where Rinus VeeKay is, and that'll give him a chance to make up some ground on that soft rubber. And basically, at this point, you're turning qualifying laps. You're doing everything you can, go as fast as you can, not concerned about fuel at this point. It's all about lap time. And look at this, Newgarden's in.
Marty, he's coming your way. This is an agonizing wait because this is such a lengthy pit lane here at Long Beach. Off-camber pit lane. The road slopes towards the wall there, and he's right in his box.
Yeah, you use a very long pit road here at Long Beach, and it does feel agonizing. The drivers will tell you. Joseph Newgarden going to alternate tires, a little bit of a wing change. Actually, he said he didn't know what are we doing here? What tires are we going to? So that's when he made the call for the wing change. You see also Marcus Ericsson leaving his pit stall with the alternate tires as well. And that's what we wondered when Rosenqvist pitted. Would it bring everybody else down pit road, Kevin? The answer is yes.
I think this strategy for this group is going to play into the hands of Alex Palou. We all know he is good at saving tires. They just ask him, how are the tires? He said, they're fine. So he is going to likely in this group stay out longer than anyone else, cycle to the front, and have a chance, at least as far as this strategy is concerned, with about half the field.
So these two drivers here, Colton Herta and Alex Palou, doing the overcut. They saved enough fuel to get an extra 1 lap for Palou, at least now 2 for Colton, running those fast laps on hot tires while the drivers they were racing are on out laps on cold tires. It's hard to get that lap time, Kev. This is going to be an important stop for these cars.
So Herta stays out the longest in this group. Palou is coming down from primary Firestones. He's got the alternates. These are softer, these are faster. This is a sticker, brand new set. Can anybody make them last an entire stint? Everybody's money is on Alex Palou. He's out.
Where does he blend as Joseph Newgarden rounds the hairpin, back on shoreline, up to speed on hot tires? I think Newgarden will be easily to the front. But Colton Herta, fastest car on the racetrack light right now. He's got the fastest lap of the race. He's turning low 108s. There goes Newgarden. There goes Palou into P2. But Ericsson's on hot tires, so this could get pretty feisty through the tight section.
Ericsson's had a really savvy opening, more than third to this race, and now he's on the attack against Alex Palou. Here we go.
Absolutely mission critical here for Ericsson to get around the 10 car. He's going to be on the push to pass. You see the green lights light up. He tries to stay to the inside, but big defense from Palou. Can he do the over-under?
Nice job from Palou. Gave the driver no option. Gave Ericsson no option. This looks like last year with O'Ward and Dixon.
Oh. Whoa! I would have tried to square him up and get him on the run down at turn 9, T, but I don't know. But now Herta's in the pits.
Fantastic racing on the track, Diff, and now action on pit road. Colton Herta coming in. Rob Edwards doing that overcut, running a little bit longer. There was a debate and a last-second change on the tires as well. They went to sticker alternate tires. They almost put on the used alternate tires for Colton Herta. Let's see where he cycles out in all this traffic.
So is this the opportunity gone for Marcus Ericsson? Here comes Colton
Herta.
Herta.
I think Newgarden just went through turn 1.
Herta should duck out ahead of these two.
So Herta back to P2, but on cold tires. So Palou with his head down and temperature now with his Firestones, trying to catch the young American.
Just want to go back to these two former teammates. Was that too much respect shown by this guy to the champ?
No, not at all. Ericsson in a podium potential position today. He knows from his teammate, or his former teammate Scott Dixon, it's all about maximizing points. Smart decision.
But look at how the overcut played out. Ericsson pitted first, lost spots to both Herta and Palou. Palou pitted next, lost a spot to Colton Herta. Herta stayed out the longest, he gained the most. The overcut works here at Long Beach.
For those of you new viewers, the overcut simply means staying out longer, or as long as you can. We have a couple of different strategies that play out on track in the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. Strategy A, there's your top three. They were the ones who pitted on lap 17. Scott Dixon, Will Power, Kyle Kirkwood. Thanks to NTT for powering these numbers. Strategy B, which T-Bell and Hinch prefer. Joseph Newgarden, Colton Herta, Alex Palou are the top 3 on that alternate strategy. Have a look at this. Remember we showed you the crash from the young rookie, Christian Rasmussen, but the boys were wondering maybe something caused it to break prior to what we saw. Well, thanks to our production team, they found this.
Great work from the boys and girls in the truck to see where that left rear made contact with the concrete, and then 4 corners later, you can just see maybe an issue with the toe link there where it might have broke on the left rear from the earlier contact. That is brutal. Let's learn more on pit lane with Dylan Welch.
Well, we're back here in the paddock, and we found Christian Rasmussen, so we'll get his thoughts on it. So this is your first time here, but this place is tricky, isn't it? And that hairpin is obviously maybe one of the harder parts on this racetrack.
Not the qualifying that we wanted, but yeah, the race was unfortunate. Tapped the wall out of 11. Thought the car was fine. My steering wheel was a little bit off, but I thought it was a bent toe link. But then when I went into 4, I think it just completely snapped and I went around. So it was just not how I wanted to end the day. Yeah. Sorry to the boys, and it's going to be a quick turnaround to Barber, but we'll come back stronger.
Bummer weekend for sure, but he's getting better every weekend, just not the result to show for it today.
Thanks, Dylan. Here's Christian Lundgaard as he continues to push the Hy-Vee Honda as far up as he can after serving a penalty where he had to let 5 cars go by for an unsafe release. And Rasmussen already did a little bit of a promo for us. Looking forward to the next race on the NTT IndyCar Series schedule, which is next weekend in Birmingham, Alabama, at the beautiful Barber Motorsports Park, the Augusta of motorsports. So we look forward to that, because with a 5-week break, kind of felt like forever since St. Pete, so we got a lot of momentum now. This weekend here in California, next weekend in Alabama, all leading up to the month of May and the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah, we have 7 weekends on track over the next 8 weekends.
Yes.
So we may have had a bit of a lull, but guys, you're going to get your IndyCar fix over the next little while.
Kevin Lee, what you got?
There are 2 very distinct strategies in play right now. One group starts at 13th with Newgarden, Herta, Palou. Barry Wanzer just told Alex Palou, those in front of you, like Scott Dixon, he didn't mention Dixon specifically, said they need to pit around lap 47. Listening to Dixon's radio, though, it sounds like they're good on fuel. We know he is the best at doing this. Dixon may be able to get home on one more stop. Marty, when would that be?
Well, Kevin, this could be fascinating because they're talking at about 10 laps or so that the leaders who are on the alternate strategy could come down pit road. If you want to map out the rest of the race like Will Power and his team are doing right now, it should time out about dead even, Townsend, of how this race would play out. The key now for Dixon and Power, how much gap can they get over Joseph Newgarden right now and also save fuel? A caution would help this group out on the alternate strategy, but they can make it on one more stop.
Well, Marty, let's watch a little Firestone telemetry as Will Power rounds the hairpin. He'll go up 4th, 5th, and ultimately 6th gear, about 180 miles an hour. And let's listen, is he saving gas or is it full push? Big time fuel savings. You can hear the coast phase there. Diff, at the end of the day, what's the right strategy? Well, you've got millions of dollars spent on strategists like Ron Ruzewski. If you add them all up, in the end, about half the field's on one, half the field's on the other. That tells me it's going to be tight.
Now, I said before that you and Hinch kind of like that alternate strategy, strategy B, led by Newgarden and co. Is that still true? Are you still on that horse?
I'm feeling very uncertain right now. If I listen to how much fuel Will Power is trying to save, if he makes it to lap 50, he still has to go 35 laps. The longest anybody went last year, James, 33 laps.
I mean, you can physically hear how much he is lifting, how much fuel he's saving, but that comes at a penalty of lap time. That's what ultimately what matters. Can you save that fuel and maintain enough pace to not just be passed by the drivers that have more fuel in the tank? So that's going to be the challenge for these guys coming up here. I'm with you. It looks great right now.
Get a little more fuel if you can.
Yeah, try to get us a little more fuel. That's like, hey, it's tight, bro. We need some big help. I mean, Power is lifting at pit lane exit.
I think without a caution, this is an untenable situation, certainly for Will Power. Maybe Scott Dixon's in a bit of a better situation. He's 5.5, almost 6 seconds up the road and maintaining a much better pace than Will Power is at the moment. So I don't know.
A yellow changes everything.
It changes everything. They really need one, and it makes it a much easier call.
Let's check in on Graham Rahal in the 15, the Fleet Costin Care Honda. What you got?
Yeah, he runs 5th on this alternate strategy too. And the thing that I'm kind of interested in is that he and Power are both on the primary tires around a few other guys on the alternates that are on this strategy. So Derek Davidson, the strategist for Graham, just came on the radio and said, you're doing a great job, great pace on fuel. But I think maybe if they can save enough, maybe do a lap or two overcut perhaps and get some clean air, maybe that'll allow them to leapfrog a couple spots. Then they have their green tires to use to the finish here. So Rahal in a good spot right now, just doing exactly like Power's doing, saving fuel 5th in this alternate strategy.
And while he's busy doing his day job right now, Graham Rahal, he has about 5 lives, this guy. In one element of the other life, he is a team owner in the Motorcycle Series Moto America. And his team, his brand new team, scored its first victory yesterday. That's pretty good with PJ Jacobson.
That's excellent. But for Graham Rahal right now, the focus is 100% on how is his race car handling. They just radioed from the pits, do you need any wing? He said, yes, I do for Reds. And when he says Reds, he means the softer green compound tire from Firestone. That's because the alternate tire has a little bit more rear grip, so Graham wants more front downforce, more front wing to help balance the car for the other compound.
So I'm just looking at the lap times right now, and one of the things that's really helping this group is the fact that Joseph Newgarden and all the drivers on this other strategy are stuck in traffic. They do not have clean air. They cannot get those faster lap times done. So even though they've got fuel to burn, there's just no lap time to gain because they're stuck in traffic.
How about Kyle Kirkwood, defending race winner, Kevin?
And this is where he got his first IndyCar win. Didn't really need it for his confidence, but it sure made things a lot nicer. Quick car, qualified 10th. He started on new alternates, picked up a couple of spots. Here's his challenge in this stint, though. He's on used alternates, so he's got to make it last the entire way, and he's still a relatively young driver. Can he save enough fuel to make it on one more stop? Marty.
Kevin, to Hinch's point he made just a moment ago, yes, these guys on the primary strategy are stuck in traffic, like Joseph Newgarden right there, but they've reminded him, we're going to have a 7 to 8 lap window where those guys are going to pit. We can run as hard as we want. Townsend, that's the game for Newgarden and everyone on the primary strategy. We've got to go hard once those other guys come to pit road.
Diff, let's not forget that the 14 team of A.J. Foyt has a partnership with Team Penske entering the 2024 season. Something I never thought we'd see. These teams now working together and collaborating on setup. So you have to wonder how much request is coming from Newgarden saying, get this guy out of the way. If we're working together, it's time to do it right now.
We may see that famous number 14 dive for pit lane here any second, and that's going to open up the window and make Joseph Newgarden's life all of a sudden easier, although there's still quite a bit of traffic up ahead, isn't there? There goes the Sexton Properties machine of Santino Ferrucci, and you do see a bit of a gap now down Shoreline Drive for Joseph Newgarden. That brings some relief.
And no way Ferrucci could make it to the end with almost 40 laps to run.
Let's take a look at today's Honda driver profile, and it is the Swedish driver Marcus Ericsson, who really has found his home here in the United States and in the NTT IndyCar Series. His biggest career accomplishment, of course, the 22 Indy 500 champion. He told me just on Thursday afternoon on the track walk that his wife Iris is now saying, do you have to watch any more sport? Because you are a professional sportsman, you watch hockey flat out, and now you want to watch the Monster Energy Supercross Series all the time and go to some of the races? Come on.
Sounds reasonable to me. I don't see what the problem is.
Another day in my life.
Yeah.
Welcome back, folks. You are watching lap 47, 48 now in the books coming up here at the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe with you. Beautiful afternoon. You're on board the Hitachi Chevy. Joseph Newgarden, who is the leader of this different strategy as he ducks up the inside of Linus Lundqvist.
Clear.
Next up will be Christian Lundgaard here. Newgarden pressing hard because they know the master of fuel save, Scott Dixon, is working his magic right now. And if Dixon can get this on one more stop, Newgarden has to pass cars to make this a race at the end.
Just to give you the numbers, folks, look at your screen. The early stoppers on lap 17. Joseph heads the group that stopped on lap 30. Only one caution in this race. So a tale of two halves, two very different stories.
You know, the news to Joseph Newgarden from Team Penske was, yeah, all these early stoppers are going to have to come in soon to give you some clean track. It's just not happened. Ferrucci dove into the pits, but so far, everyone else is still out there, and it's a bit of a challenge. Another guy racing on this strategy is the 26, Marty. What do you know about Colton Herta?
Currently second of the primary strategy, if you will, and it can be confusing for drivers as well behind the wheel when there's two completely different strategies. Colton Herta asked Rob Edwards, hey, what's going on with all the strategy? Listen in.
How many laps until these guys start pitting?
They're starting already. Probably Dixon another 7 laps, maybe.
The reference to Dixon and Will Power and those guys, they'll be coming in a few laps. That was a few laps ago, but how confusing is it behind the wheel, Hinch, when there's two separate strategies and you're not sure how it's all going to play out?
It can be very confusing. You don't know who's pit, who hasn't, who's on what tire, who's on what fuel strategy, so it can be a bit confusing behind the wheel to know where you really sit in the race.
Yeah, but don't worry about it.
Right.
Do what we tell you to do.
Yeah.
Go fast when we say, save gas when we say. We'll get you there. You drive, kid. We're in charge of the strategy.
It is amazing how little information you truly have when you're behind the wheel of a race car, whereas on the timing stand, they have all the information available to them. So you do have to put a lot of trust into your team to help you make those decisions on obviously when to pit, and then of course what tires to go to depending on what they're seeing from degradation on the two different compounds.
And although that sounded a little bit stressed and under duress, Colton Herta is enjoying a better season this year. He said last year simply wasn't fun at all. Winless last year, only one podium. Pretty swift move there from Newgarden up the inside of Armstrong. Fairly straightforward there around the iconic fountain. Coming up close to lap 50 here of the 85-lap Acura Grand Prix.
Just listening to some of the angst there from Colton Herta on the radio. If you look to push to pass, well, he's used a lot of it. Almost 3/4 of the available 200 seconds. The 26 is chewed up, so just past half distance here. You got to keep that in mind. Save maybe some precious seconds in the bag if you need it for a shootout at the end. But if you're going to win, you got to get there. Let's listen.
Guys in front should be pitting out the way in the next 2 to 3 laps.
Let's check in with Kevin Lee. Kev?
On this strategy, Christian Lundgaard is really the first to come in. Couldn't make it home. They had told him earlier after he gave up some spots, don't worry about fuel save. So he was going hard. This doesn't necessarily tell us everyone has to pit immediately. I'm still not seeing movement from the other leaders, but they are talking about what changes they'll make on their final stop. Still trying to get 4 more laps. That's kind of the magic number to make it home.
Yeah, it's an early stop certainly for the 45, but what it does do is it puts them in a position to capitalize on a caution. If a full course caution comes out now, everybody's going to take it, and then you cycle through to the front.
So RLL just put Chip Ganassi Racing into the danger zone. So if you're Dixon and Mike Hall, you got to think about coming in. Here comes Graham Rahal doing the same thing. So RLL gambling first, Dylan.
And Graham has got the set of sticker alternate tires. They ran blacks in both of these first stints. A front wing change to account for the change in balance there. Graham's been fairly happy, a little slow on the fuel. This may be costly. It doesn't look like it's flowing. That is going to ruin Rahal's any chances.
Oh, no.
Sideways. Is it going?
Oh, no.
You saw the fueler with his left hand twisting like there was a valve or something that he was working to open there.
Yeah, you can manually open up the butterfly and get the fuel flowing, but devastating result there for Graham Rahal with such a strong weekend.
Oh, there goes that.
He
What
said
do we
it.
have to do?
Continue with that.
All he can do is pray for a yellow at this point because he's still not out of it.
Did all the fuel cut in?
Here's Dixon. The PNC Bank Honda on pit road. Kevin Lee's there.
And this is not enough as Will Power also hits the pit lane here at this point. So we think they needed another 2 or 3 laps to be able to get home the rest of the way. It's likely going to take a caution. Used alternates, Marty, for Dixon.
Scott Dixon is the master, Kevin, making time but saving fuel as he leads his stall. Will Power was able to match what Scott Dixon did on the track as well. They asked him at one point late in the run, can you save us more? He said, I cannot give you any more than I'm giving you right now. They too are going to use primary tires for Will Power. And here's the thing, 34 laps to go. They still have to save to be able to make it to the end for sure.
They will be crossing everything they can for a caution over these closing 34 laps as Dixon rejoins right in front of Théo Pourchaire.
Here you go. You got a driver in his very first IndyCar race up against the 6-time champion. How aggressive is Théo going to be here?
Well, and Scott Dixon not remotely interested in letting the rookie by. He needs the track position. He needs clean air to make his fuel save mastery work here. Long way to stretch this stint hinge. Newgarden is going to be pushing so hard on these 2 laps as Kyle Kirkwood ducks in, Kev, for his last stop.
And he went a lap longer than others. He's also got primary Firestone, so he might have the better tire choice that's longer lasting at the end of this race. Maybe last year's winner is still in the mix.
It was interesting to see the difference between the 12 and the 9. Scott Dixon in the 9 went with the alternates where the primaries were on the 12.
Does Kirkwood have a chance to defend his win? A caution sure would come in handy.
And 120 to the end.
Championship leader, Indy 500 winner, and now race leader, Joseph Newgarden. Out in front, he was the leader on strategy B, as we showed you a little bit earlier, being the first to stop on that later lap count. How's it all going to play out with 31 to go?
And to make strategy B work, Newgarden needs lightning fast laps right now to try to close or open up enough of a gap over Scott Dixon. It's at 25 seconds right now. Newgarden about 1.5 seconds faster per lap. Remember, Dixon saving fuel. Newgarden right now in full press. So the longer Newgarden stays out, the better it gets for him, unless a yellow comes. That's the big risk. If a yellow comes, Newgarden really destroyed on a race-winning strategy.
One thing Newgarden loves is that high V doubleheader at Iowa Speedway. I want to tell you about high V. Grab your mobile device, scan that QR code, because you'll have a chance to drive away with a new Corvette courtesy of high V. This is going on all season long. Simply enter for a chance to win one of 3 Corvettes. So you've got a good chance. scan that QR code, and we wish you the best of luck.
James, Newgarden can go another 5 laps, maybe 6 on fuel at this point at full push. So Marty, what do you think the two will do? They can make it now stopping, but they're doing such a good job opening a gap with clean air.
They're thinking about 3 or 4 more laps here for Joseph Newgarden on this, what we're calling the primary strategy. But Tim Cindric said, I want you opening that gap. I do not want you using overtake, though. You're going to need to save that for your out laps. Newgarden trying to make this strategy work. And by the math, the other strategy, the alternate strategy that Dixon and Power are on should work. But you guys made the point a minute ago, Townsend. Dixon and Power still saving fuel to the end of the race. And again, it's showing on all these timing stands. This should be almost a dead heat for these final 30 laps.
Except for something like this. Kiffin Simpson, the rookie teammate to Scott Dixon. What might Chip Ganassi Racing be telling the driver of the number 4? Hold up Newgarden if you can.
Through the final sequence of turns, here comes the hairpin. What's going to happen on the front straight? Is it going to be fairly easy for Newgarden, or is Simpson going to make life difficult?
Say it's easy to request it, tough to execute it. Going the long way around, but has more than enough momentum to clear the 4 rather, before he gets into turn 1.
All right, so we're looking at 2 guys here. 2 legends of the sport, 2 champs. And thanks to NTT for powering these numbers. Here's a head-to-head comparison on the 2 guys leading the 2 different strategies.
Well, look at the last 3 lap times. Newgarden versus Dixon. 1.6 seconds on lap 53, then 1.3 seconds, and about 1.3 seconds again on lap 55. I think Newgarden needs more than that to make this work, Marty, but Dixon will have to save fuel to the end.
First of those on the primary strategy, Rinus VeeKay coming to pit road here, and that's the penalty because they pitted very early on that first stop. He's leaving to go back out on the racetrack, so you're going to see all those primary strategy guys come down pit road. Big step forward for Ed Carpenter Racing this weekend. VeeKay told me the number 1 track we had to get better at, Long Beach, they've taken a step forward this weekend.
This guy continues to take steps forward in his racing IQ and his maturity. He stated outwardly what he was going to do at St. Pete, followed through with that, and while he didn't qualify as well here, this has been a very heads-up drive by Rinus VeeKay. Let's talk more about Hulko's Hollinger Racing and Romain Grosjean.
Grosjean coming down pit road. I asked him on Friday, maybe your 2 best racetracks, Long Beach and Barber, which is coming up next week. Can you evaluate the team? He said, they're my best racetracks on paper. I don't know that they're my favorite racetracks, but we're still learning each other on this team. Again, he's on that primary strategy. Everyone's starting to trickle in, and Joseph Newgarden got the call just now. He will come down pit road this next time. The leader coming to pit road.
He's doing everything he needs to do, Marty. He just turned another fastest lap of the race, so 107.8 for Newgarden. He is clawing the gap as big as he can to Scott Dixon.
Joseph Newgarden comes slowly down pit road here. They're going to go to used alternate tires for Newgarden. And Tim Cindric told him a while ago, think about that. That's what we're going to have for the end of this race. And I think teams have been a little surprised how well these alternate tires for Firestone have held on this weekend. Newgarden bidding with 27 laps to go. A quick stop by the Penske bunch. The wing change Newgarden wanted. We'll see where he cycles out. And when the other drivers on that primary strategy come down pit road.
Well, I think he's going to cycle out near his teammate here, Will Power. Power on that alternate strategy like Dixon. So what happens when the teammates meet here in turn 1? It's Newgarden to the front, but on cold tires. Power, however, has to save gas to make it to the end. So this helps Newgarden that he had a nice clean stop, and now he can go as fast as possible without anybody in front except lap traffic.
27 laps to go. And for Joseph Newgarden, who has the best statistical record here over the past 6 years, he stood on the podium 4 times, including a win. Why wouldn't the sun be shining on number 2, the Hitachi Chevy? With the years going on, this guy's just got better and better. at this venue. Here comes the Delaware Life Honda, Marcus Ericsson. Marty, he's heading your way.
Boy, Diff, after a messy first 2 days here in Long Beach for Marcus Ericsson and Andretti Global, it has been a flawless race day so far, keeping in the top 5 the entire time. Very few complaints about the handling of the car. Felix Rosenqvist also on pit road at the Gary Hannah pit road. That number 2 pit stall for Felix Rosenqvist. They're heading back out on the racetrack. And once again, take note, Colton Herta and his team running longer than everybody else. Hinch, what's that advantage on this next run for Colton Herta?
It just gives you that advantage of running on hot tires at a fast pace while everyone else coming out of the pits is struggling to get up to speed on those cold Firestones. That overcut technique has worked every round of stops so far on both strategies, and Colton Herta doing a great job saving as much fuel as he has been. Another lap by for the 26.
When he won here a couple of years ago, he said it wasn't the fact that he won, it was the way that he won. Herta came from 14th on the grid. He was so proud of that victory and would dearly love to do it again. How's it going to play out over these closing 25 laps? Here's Grosjean and the 60 of Felix Rosenqvist, the pole sitter.
The thing that just blows me away is you look at Power and Dixon on that same strategy, but it was a 10-second difference between the two as Dixon, car's in, Dylan, that's Rossi.
Yeah, and he's on the comeback trail. Remember, after that lap 1 tire puncture, scum alternate tires for Rossi to the end.
That gap between Joseph Newgarden and Will Power we're showing down to 3 seconds. And Dixon to Newgarden at about 6 seconds. So with Newgarden seemingly about a second plus a lap quicker, guys, the Dixon-Newgarden story, that Ganassi versus Penske battle is going to be great down the stretch. We think Dixon will catch him, Newgarden will catch him. The question is, can he get by? Here comes Colton Herta for his last stop, Kev.
And Alex Palou is right behind him, but Herta gapped him by about 7/10 on the last 2 laps. It's used alternates for Alex Palou for the final stop, Marty.
Kevin, keep in mind, Andretti Global went down to 3 teams this year. Rob Edwards told me this morning it has massively helped our pit stops. Colton Herta needs a quick one here. He leaves pit road already, going to those alternate used tires for Colton Herta. A quick stop for this bunch. Let's see where he cycles out in the middle of that traffic.
There goes Scott Dixon, but here comes Joseph Newgarden, gets around the 66 of Tom Blomqvist, and there you see Herta and Palou. So Newgarden is clear of the drivers that are on effectively his same strategy. For Newgarden, it's go get Scott Dixon.
Here we go. Let's go for a ride with Will Power. That's Herta up ahead. Hinch, what's this like when you want to attack but you're in fuel safe mode?
It's one of the most frustrating things that can happen to a driver. You're sat in IndyCar, you're at one of the coolest racetracks in the country, and you just want to let the thing eat. You want to push the limits of this thing and of yourself, but you can't. You have to maintain that patience. You have to maintain that discipline to not burn too much fuel, because a trip down pit lane for a splash and go at the end of this race would be absolutely devastating for your results.
Yeah, you might as well pull into your hotel parking lot at that point.
Do the best you can. We got to keep hitting the number for now.
There you go. You can hear the dejection from pit lane. They know the routine. It hasn't played out like they hoped.
5.3 seconds very rapidly became just 5 seconds. The difference between Dixon and Newgarden. Who's going to go away with this victory, this prized victory this afternoon here in Long Beach? You'll know in just 23 laps time. AutoNation Mobile Service brings their pit crew to you with expert technicians performing over 200 repair and maintenance services wherever you are. And you can scan the QR code right now to schedule that visit. As we welcome you back, closing 20 laps of the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. IndyCar, the NTT IndyCar Series, firing back into life First of 2 weekends in a row, and this is the race leader, Scott Dixon in the PNC Bank Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing, but for how much longer, T-Bell?
Can he hang on? The master of going fast, burning the least amount of fuel, Scott Dixon. You can see the gap, about 4 tenths, sometimes 8 tenths. Marty, the Hitachi driver, is coming. He's got nothing to conserve. Leave it all on the table here at Long Beach.
Townsend, as you can imagine, after that round of pit stops, Joseph Newgarden kind of wanted to reset the field, so he asked Tim Cindric, hey, help me understand what the playing field looks like right now. And he said, Dixon is ahead of you, but he is on such a big fuel save. He has 104 seconds of push to pass, and he probably can't use any of it for the rest of the race. So Newgarden slowly making his way there. Hinch, my question is, Dixon's got almost a 3-second lead up the road. Is that a big enough lead to hang on for 19 more laps?
19 laps is a lot of laps, Marty. I don't know. The gap in lap time we're seeing between these two, you just saw it on that graphic.
He's really having a save here. Be patient. Herta's got 44 on his butt behind him.
Yeah, Joseph is coming. Be patient is exactly right, because he can use all 33 seconds of his push and pass once he catches up to the 9 car.
It's like being in a shootout, but your ammo's under padlock. You have it, but you can't use it. But don't count out Scott Dixon as Chip Ganassi looks on, and he knows what his driver's capable of. But I think advantage right now, Kevin, is with Team Penske.
And you know who also agrees with you? Scott Dixon. When he was told the gap of a little over 3 seconds a lap or two ago, and by the way, it's 2.1 right now, he responded, there's nothing I can do about that. But what this is just make the best of it you can. He started 8th, he's got a chance to finish on the podium. If a caution comes out, however, then it's a different story.
And Kev, adding another chapter to this book of this Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. Let's go back a couple of positions to the 26th, the Gainbridge Honda of Colton Herta. At one point in time, the gap was around about 6 seconds between Newgarden and Herta. It's about 5.5 now. It got down as low as 5. Does this car have anything for the Hitachi Chevy, given the fact that Newgarden is in prime position to catch and get by Dixon for the victory? We'll see.
And with 17 laps to go, you have to start to wonder, Hinch, does Dixon even have a shot at the podium?
You know, I still think his pace is decent enough, and a 6.5 second gap back to Herta. That's a lot of lap time to make up in 18 laps. So I think he's good for the podium. I think he's good to hang on to second, but I do not think he is good to keep this guy here, Joseph Newgarden, behind him.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if it takes Newgarden a little bit longer than he would expect to get around Scott Dixon, allowing Herta and Palou to potentially close. So,
yeah, because he was told to be patient, right? Tim Cindric said be patient.
So what does Scott Dixon do behind the wheel? Carry as much entry speed as you can, coast the brake zones, get off full throttle early, light on the brake pedal, and really flow entry, right? I mean, James, what else can Dixon do? I mean, he's a master at it, but how does he do it?
Well, that's just it. You know, it's the early liftoff on the straightaways, trying to minimize how much brake you're using. That's just making more fuel burn as you got to accelerate the car back out. Sometimes in some of those shorter sections, say between turns 3 and 4, around turn 10, you can carry just a little bit less throttle, physically push the pedal down a little less. That saves a little bit of fuel as well, but even as good as he is at it and keeping the lap time strong, this looks like a losing battle for the 9. Short of a caution, I just don't see how he's going to keep Newgarden behind him.
Just looking a little deeper into the top 10, the 77 of Romain Grosjean. This is really good for Juncos Hollinger because there was an unforced error at St. Pete. Grosjean looked good at the non-points race at Thermal, but then there was a collision between Dixon and Grosjean. So talking with Ricardo Juncos and Brad Hollinger, they were like, we know that there's good there. We know we're feeling good. We just need to piece it together. Grosjean is in the top 10 ahead of Scott McLaughlin at the moment. Kevin?
So there's some debate on the 9 radio about maybe using a little bit more fuel right now, hoping Newgarden burns up some push to pass. They're going to give up the lead eventually, but maybe make him work at it a little bit. But Dixon responded, that will mess up my fuel mileage.
It is amazing how much fuel push to pass burns. You could be trying to hit a number, get it pretty comfortably, use one little shot of push to pass, and the number that pops up on your dash the next lap is shockingly different. And then you have to work that much harder and have that much greater a number to make the distance. So as much as he wants to, Dixon just cannot afford to push the button.
He did, but for how long? 2 seconds.
Listen, let's continue to ride on board. This does not look like a gimme for Joseph Newgarden at all. The way he came off the hairpin and lit up the back end of his Chevy, it's going to take some hustle. Dixon's going to make it tough, and I'm not seeing a total domination here from Newgarden relative to Scott Dixon's pace.
Yeah, I don't think this is a layup either, Townsend. Tim Cindric several times has said, be patient. Also has told him, Townsend, to take care of the right front tire. Are they seeing maybe a temperature they don't like on that for Joseph Newgarden?
Well, just to make things a little more crazy here, lap traffic about to be a factor. Scott Dixon starting to come up on the 14 of Ferrucci as Scott McLaughlin with Team Penske off the pace over in turn 6.
What has happened to the Odyssey battery Chevy? Weekend started in promising fashion for McLaughlin. He was frustrated after not making it through to the next phase in qualifying. Knew that he had more and should have been higher up on the grid and maybe make it to the Firestone Fast 6. That didn't happen. And then now he is limping home. He got a podium at the season opener in St. Pete. That is far from happening here. Meanwhile, back on board with his teammate. Newgarden in pursuit of the lead. 14 to go.
And guys, I just checked as they crossed the line. Dixon did burn a couple more seconds of push to pass on that last lap, so he is just ever so slightly using a little bit his Newgarden battling a little bit oversteer there.
So does he know that he can hold Joseph off through the back section and just uses it on Shoreline Drive?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, that's where you want to use it in the defense. As you said, I mean, he's running great lap times for the fuel he's saving. Through the twisty bits, he's fast. Yeah. It's just on the straights, he has to lift so early.
So Newgarden might have more fuel to use, but he does not have clean air to help him. Don't forget, an IndyCar punches a big turbulent hole in this Southern California air.
3.5 to Herta. He's got 91 on his butt.
And now, Tim Cindric giving Newgarden Herta updates.
There he is. Here they come, and he's dragging Alex Palou along with him. This 2-car fight could very quickly become a 4-car fight in the closing 10 laps.
Massive amount of brake dust coming out of the left front wheel of Colton Herta. The 26 might be getting hot on the front axle in the brake zones.
Down to 91 seconds of push to pass. He is using it. Dixon is burning it, so he's having to work extra hard at the end of the straightaways to save that little bit more for what he's using to get up and to a top speed as quickly as possible.
Number's good. He's still 30.
We talked a lot about the lap times Joseph was able to run as he was tracking down Scott Dixon, sometimes up to 0.8 of a lap faster. Now that he's on his gearbox, they're running within 1/10 of a second. You said it, Townsend. That dirty air makes it so hard. And just look at the draw off the corner that Dixon's getting. Power delivery out of that Honda is working very well right now.
Hairpin's the slowest corner on the IndyCar schedule, but the rear wing still matters. Even at 50 miles an hour with power down, it is so powerful aerodynamically that Newgarden is struggling in dirty air to get that rear downforce. He's right here now.
And behind him, only
we do like a 52 to finish, around 52.
Only 2 seconds behind this guy we ride with is Colton Herta, who has 20 more seconds of push to pass than Newgarden.
I gotta say, Dixon's getting off the corners extremely well.
Hey, Townsend, so why did Tim Cindric add Colton Herta to that conversation? He has cut almost 3 seconds from third to second on Joseph Newgarden. That's why they're kind of focused behind almost as much as they are up front.
Well, you got Colton Herta, previous winner here, then Alex Palou, last year's champion. A lot of muscle behind, a lot of muscle in front. How does Newgarden play this? When does he decide, I have to go now?
12 to go. It'll be 11 this time across the line.
He's close, guys. This is as close as he's been, but you can tell by that acceleration, Dixon is using the button a little more. few more seconds to use that lap.
15 seconds left for Newgarden. He does not use it on that run. Oh! I thought he was going to send it.
So impressive that Scott Dixon is able to still hit that number despite 3, 4, 5 seconds of push to pass used every single lap for the last 5 laps.
Folks, you're looking at the reigning Indy 500 champion and 2-time series champion chase down the 43-year-old father of 3 who is the best in the modern era of IndyCar competition and is up there in rarefied air for the best ever in this sport. He's holding on, but for how much longer can he hold on?
Look,
because traffic's coming into play, and Kiffin Simpson had a really close call there.
Stingray Robb having a look in that gold and black car, and then you've got Nolan Siegel, a rookie. Santino Ferrucci in the AJ Foyt car. 11 laps to go, and this is framing up to be dramatic all the way to the end.
10 laps.
Look at the rubber. Look at the spent rubber, the marbles on the track. Oh no!
I thought a caution just flashed between my eyes before, and it's back again. I'm just going to close my eyes. Hang on, come back, 10 to go. Let's ride this one home at the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. Pick your winner, because it could be anybody. Is it Scott Dixon in the orange and blue PNC back Honda? Here comes Joseph Newgarden up into turn 9. He knows the pressure's coming from behind in Colton Herta, and there is traffic up ahead.
Yep, you've got rookie Kiffin Simpson, then Nolan Siegel in the red-white car, Santino Ferrucci, and Newgarden stalls in the hairpin.
Oh my goodness, Herta and Palou just swapping.
Unbelievable development as Dixon now trying to get through this traffic going by Santino Ferrucci. Here's a replay of what happened to the two.
Oh. Hit up the back by Colton Herta. And don't forget the gearbox actuator is on the right-hand side of the gearbox. And you remember in Nashville when we saw this a couple years ago?
That's going to be an interesting one for race control to look at, but that's just kind of rubbing. I mean, it wasn't intentional, certainly, but it did have an impact. But now Joseph down 2 spots, a massive amount of breathing room for Scott Dixon. He's already got 1 car now in between himself and Colton Herta.
The 2 guys who live nearby in Nashville, Tennessee, may be having a midweek conversation. Herta into Newgarden, perhaps taking the win option away for the Hitachi Chevy driver. The Gainbridge Honda's now in second. Can Dixon pull off this victory?
-2 to Dixon, plus 0.6
up against it in the most unlikely way, in uber fuel-saving mode, or is Colton Herta going to be a 2-time Long Beach winner? This is a special place for Alex Palou as well. This is where he clinched his maiden IndyCar title.
Either way, Diff, it's a massive break for Scott Dixon to get some precious breathing room. Marty, Newgarden must be furious.
Number 737.
Oh, he's fuming at his neighbor in Nashville. He said, how is that not a penalty? 100% that should be a penalty. They are asking IndyCar to look at that. Colton Herta getting into the rear end of Joseph Newgarden.
Well, Hinch, if you start penalizing for a little bit of touch nose to tail, well, you might as well park half the field then.
Agreed.
Every weekend.
Great move there from Santino Ferrucci to move over and let this train of cars go, because even Ericsson in the 28 has joined the fight now. But let's take a listen to a little bit of radio from Colton Herta.
They just stopped in the middle of the corner.
Copy, focus forward.
Dixon's going to get by Siegel here. That is more precious breathing room.
At the end of the day, look, the cars slow down in the middle of the hairpin. Sometimes that's just what happens. You see that brake dust coming out of the 26 car, but we're hearing that race control is not looking at it.
Yeah.
There's no action, as you say. You'd have to DQ half the field.
Well, that's an anomaly, too, where it just caused a misshift issue. I know it. Listen, I get it. If I'm Joseph Newgarden, I'm furious, too. But the precedent is well established at IndyCar. That's not enough.
This guy has not had a win since the Indy GP of 2022. The youngest ever winner in IndyCar history wins are just part of your normal MO. And when he didn't get one last year, it did not sit comfortably with him. Colton Herta on maximum attack, and so too is Marcus Ericsson in the back. Ericsson was lining up Joseph Newgarden for a shot at fourth.
Poor Nolan Siegel there, just kind of in the mix of all these drivers. Newgarden's going to go up the inside of the hairpin. A little bit of contact maybe allows Ericsson to get through as well.
And now the guy that can decide this race is a rookie in Kiffin Simpson. He can let Dixon by and then work hard to hold up Herta. And there goes Simpson, letting Dixon get to the front. Marty.
Townsend, I just wanted to confirm what happened with Joseph Newgarden. When the contact from the 26 came, the 2-car did indeed go into anti-stall. Just a moment ago, Tim Cindric, who was really upset with this call from race control, said, okay, now they set the precedent. That's how you can race from now on. You can move anybody out of the way at any time.
5 laps to go here at Long Beach. What a day. We were settling into something somewhat relaxed. But with 2 groups on 2 different strategies, it gave us something to play with. We did not expect this explosive end. This is awesome.
Colton Herta on the push to pass there. Now Herta will be really frustrated, saying, hey, 5 laps to go. Got to get this guy out of the way. But Simpson teammates to Scott Dixon at Chip Ganassi Racing, I'm sure understands the protocol here. You race hard, try to help your teammate.
For the cars you're racing with, so you're going to have to get that done.
The legend Mario Andretti, the winner of the inaugural IndyCar race here in 1984. The legend. There goes Colton Herta up the inside of Kiffin Simpson. Now it's a square, fair fight.
39 seconds of push to pass for Scott Dixon, 32 for Colton Herta, but Colton, tons of fuel available. He does not have to save anything.
Kevin, Colton should be about a second a lap faster down the stretch with 4 to go.
But he's got to deal with one of the legends, Scott Dixon. We saw Mario Andretti. Dixon passed him on the all-time win list a couple of years ago. He's now within a somewhat striking distance of A.J. Foyt. And think about how he finished last season. He outscored Alex Palou in points in the final 7 races of the season, who had a dominant championship run. Dixon won 3 of the last 4. How many has he won this way? Marty, we can't count out Dixon.
Colton Herta has done a terrific job today. Does he have enough time and enough fuel? That should be easy for him with 4 to go to get around Scott Dixon. Diff, we had a conversation with Colton Herta earlier this week, you and I, and he said last year was, quote, the most miserable year of my racing career ever. In the offseason, he called Rob Edwards, said, how can I get better as a driver? What can I do? He said, study, give us feedback, and let us know what the car needs. And Colton Herta, this is one of those races where it takes a lot of concentration to pull all this off. He's in a position to pull it off at his home race today.
You know, you hear all the time about stick and ball sport players, athletes, watching tape. That's exactly what Colton Herta did. He watched a season's worth of tape to figure out where he needed to step it up, where the team could be better. How can they refine things, polish things, be better? He said, when you are not having fun, racing a car simply isn't fun. I was miserable last year. Well, he's back. A top 5 at the Firestone Grand Prix at St. Pete 5 weeks ago. And now here he is on the podium at least. And he's vying for a win with just over 2 laps to go.
Only the 2nd points race of the season. And Scott Dixon right now, by virtue of that bad luck for Joseph Newgarden, would move up 7 spots in the championship to 2nd behind Newgarden. So championship points already being considered.
You heard the call from Rob Edwards, 2 to go, 38 left. That's Dixon's push to pass. That was a full pull for Colton Herta down the front straight. Dixon only burned 2 seconds on that previous lap. Herta now down to 17, 36 for Dixon.
They don't have to worry about gap anymore. Colton Herta is there.
It just shows you that clean air is king.
Man, and Dixon, a great driver, and Chip Ganassi Racing, a great team. I mean, you look at the minimum speed flow at the number 9 and all these right-hand corners on the streets, and they're making great grit for the end of a very long stint.
Dixon was already racing here at Long Beach in Indy Lights when Colton Herta was born. That's the disparity between these 2 guys, but there is no disparity in the skill level. These 2 guys are at the top of their game. There might be a couple of decades between them in terms of their time on the planet, but this is going to be a phenomenal final 2 miles. Here we go. Dixon versus Herter. 2 Honda-powered cars. Chip Ganassi racing up against Andretti
Use
Global.
everything you got now.
Use everything you got is the call.
Talk about good news from your box. Mike Hall telling Scott Dixon, burn some gas, go for it. Lay down a flyer to close this thing out.
I still can't believe.
How does he do it?
Even Scott Dixon. I shouldn't be surprised, but this one was one of the tallest orders I've ever seen to save that much fuel, keep that pace, still have the ability to burn the push to pass when needed, and boy did he need it over this last stint of the race. Absolutely remarkable.
If Scott Dixon can hang in there for the length of this back straight to turn 9, he is as good as home. Here it is, turn 9. You know, he's laid back, he takes everything in his stride, but he is very intense inside that helmet. Scott Dixon, it took him 9 tries to win here at Long Beach. He's had podiums since, but he's going to go back to the winner's circle. Scott Dixon wins the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach in the most improbable way.
Nice speed up.
And I can tell you that one of the early backers of his career, Sir Colin Giltrap, recently passed away in the early days of this week, and that's Scott with a heavy heart. He owes a debt of gratitude to that man, and so thankful to Sir Colin's support. A lot of New Zealand motorsport fans have heavy hearts as well, so that one will be for Sir Colin Giltrap.
And on a day that started with us debating Honda versus Chevy, first race of the season, all Chevy on the podium. Long Beach Grand Prix goes to Honda. They own all 3 spots with Colton Herta and Palou. What a championship we are up for, guys, down the stretch. This one is going to be fierce.
How does he have fuel to do a cool-down lap? I don't understand it. I thought he was going to have to pull over at the end of pit lane. This guy is unbelievable. We talked about it at the top of the show. If there was a group that could do a different strategy, try to mix things up and bring it home, it's the 9 group. They have done it time and time again, and it is a team effort. We sit here talking so much about Scott Dixon's abilities. You mentioned it before, Mike Hall. This team as a group are so good at executing these races.
Well, and even the great Will Power has got to be scratching his head. They were on the same strategy, yet Dixon finishes 15 seconds up the road with plenty of gas to celebrate.
This checkered flag moment, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts, is a reminder to us all, never discount Dixon. Scott Dixon has done it again, and he's still doing burnouts to show that he's got fuel left in the tank.
We call him the Iceman, but I'm ready to start anointing him the Gas Man.
Yeah.
Shut it down.
We shut it down before we run out of fuel now.
Need to get you up into victory lane.
And James, you've been here before. There is no sweeter moment, I think, outside of Indianapolis than stepping out of your race car in this perfect 70-degree sunshine. You've got the Corbel champagne, and it's just sweetness all around.
It's always a beautiful day here at Long Beach, one way or another, and you're right, Townsend. This place is so special. That victory lane is a special one. They imprint the names and dates of the winners and faces of the winners actually down in the pavement here in Victory Lane, and to win here puts your face alongside some of the greatest in the sport. And Scott Dixon's done it before, and for the second time in his career, he'll get another one.
It was a real source of frustration that it took him so long to get there. There's Colton Herta and Joseph Newgarden. They're talking over the collision, the nose to tail. Marty's there. While they discuss it, let's go to victory lane.
Boy, we've seen some amazing Scott Dixon performances, but this ranks up there near the top. An incredible Long Beach win for Scott Dixon and Chip Ganassi Racing. Not even sure where to start with this one. What an amazing win. I guess my question is, how?
That was tough. That was real tough. Honestly, I didn't think we were going to make it. They kept giving me a number, and it just wasn't getting. I was close, but not enough. So, luckily, we were on the safe side there. But huge credit to everybody on the PNC Bank number 9. Obviously, can't thank Honda enough. Home race here at the Acura Grand Prix. All the Honda employees here. And today was really fun driving my Honda. So hopefully we can keep doing this year, but it was huge.
So to that point, as Chip Ganassi comes in for a hug, that one deserves a celebration. To that point, Scott, how many times did you say there's no way this is going to happen?
Joseph was coming strong, and I was kind of unsure how he was going to be once he got behind us. But I also knew that he'd been burning the tires off too. But Chip came on, he's like, just go for it, man. And I was like, I'm going to try, but so cool. Obviously, Bill Demchek here too from PMC, so huge event. Got to say hi to everybody back home in New Zealand and in the UK, Emma and the kids. And obviously, this one I'm going to dedicate to Sir Colin Giltrap, obviously help him start my career. We lost him this week, unfortunately, but huge thank you to him and all the support back home.
Yeah, Diff mentioned that, and we can tell the emotion in your voice. You've had some amazing runs in your career, saving fuel, making lap time. Where does this one rank for you? Is it at the top?
Well,
of difficulty.
It was way up there, man, because the stress level was high. You know, those guys were coming fast and strong. Obviously, I think we were kind of off by a lap or two of making it easy. I think other fuel races I've done, I've had it under control for the whole stint, but I saw Joseph coming, I was like, man, this is going to be really tough. And I don't know what happened there, but I knew Colton was going to be strong. And last 2 laps, team came on and said, just go for it. We got plenty of fuel, and away we went, man.
And was the burnout just kind of a show-off? I've got a little bit more.
Yeah, we made it back to the pits, man. We had loads left.
Scott Dixon, an incredible win here at Long Beach, Kevin.
Well, even Scott Dixon seemed resigned to the fact that Joseph Newgarden was going to catch and pass him, but then contact out of the hairpin. What's your view of what happened? And I saw you talking to Colton just a little while ago.
I mean, I don't know. It seemed pretty obvious. He just misjudged it and ran into me. And once I got lifted here, I went into anti-stall. I got lifted up off the ground a foot or two. And I couldn't get going. I had to wait. You have to wait for the clutch, the clutch to disengage and get the thing reset. So I was just kind of stalled there for a second. So, I'm not going to say we were going to get Dixon. It was actually very, very difficult for me to get the run that I needed to. I think traffic was going to provide me an opportunity. So actually that run right there, I was really excited about. I think that was going to be my last chance. Never know if it would have pulled off or not. I mean, maybe not. He was really quick. I don't know how they were going as far as they were, but we had a great car. Really proud of my team. Great strategy. Good speed all weekend. So I think we got to be happy with a fourth. I'm just not sure about the Herta deal. Like, I think they should probably look at that differently. Look, if you hit somebody, it is what it is. It'd be the same if I hit somebody, but we got to take a fourth, and we'll take a fourth.
On his radio during the race, he said that he basically stopped in the corner. Did you approach that hairpin any differently or have a different rolling speed than you had otherwise?
No, similar when I was following Dixon the last multiple laps. Yeah, very similar.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. Dylan.
And let's get Colton Herta's side of it here. So Joseph says effectively that you just ran into the back of him. I mean, is that how you feel about it? Was it that black and white to you?
Yeah. Misjudged it a little bit, but I think he set up pretty wide and was cutting back in, so he's a little bit slower at apex. But ultimately, it's up to me to carry the right speed into the corner, not to run in the back of people, and I just misjudged it. So would have been fine. I think he hit anti-stall coming out of the corner, and that's what really bottled him back. But yeah, definitely something to put in the back of my mind. I don't like to race like that, especially a guy like Joseph I have a lot of respect for. But our game was really good today, and I think we got the max out of it. Obviously, Dixon, I still don't know exactly how he got to the lead and what happened there, so we'll have to see later today or tomorrow. But overall, I'm happy with the Gamebridge Honda and what we had to do today. Two really good races to start the year off, so hopefully we can keep this going.
Yeah, and we talked on the broadcast about the work that you've put in over the offseason and how you deemed last year the worst year of your racing career. So how rewarding is this start?
Yeah, it's exactly how we want to do it. Obviously, we want wins, but to be in the top 5 for every race, including the non-championship race this year, we just have to keep putting up points like that. And once we have the right position, that we have a car to win, and everything goes right for us, the wins will come. So we'll take it slowly.
Great day for Colton Herta. Finishes in the 2nd spot.
Okay, that was interesting to hear that, and thank you for that, Dylan. So shedding some light on the Colton Herta, Joseph Newgarden situation. There's Chris Simmons in the white shirt, the head of engineering for Chip Ganassi Racing, congratulating his man, Scott Dixon. Career victory number 57. He's within 10 of the great AJ Foyt. But more immediately, it's his 2nd Long Beach win, and that means a lot to Dixon, who's in the hunt for another championship early on. Time to give you the Pennzoil moment of the race, and here it is. Pretty controversial one. But Colton Herta just admitted he got it wrong. Went in there a little too hard. Contact with Joseph Newgarden, put Newgarden into anti-stall mode. He kind of forklifted him out of the way there and then got on with it, but Dixon had escaped. And that was the Pennzoil moment of the race. There's Dario Franchitti, who Scott attributes to helping him win his first one years ago on his 9th attempt. So the former teammates and the dear, dear friends, they're celebrating in victory lane again. How about that? And after just 2 of 17 races, the man at the top remains the same. There's somebody new in second.
There certainly is. Scotty D up 7 positions to be second. Now let me break this down for you a sec, Diff.
Break it down.
You've got Dixon 15th fastest on Friday in practice, 12th on Saturday, qualified 8th, had the 13th fastest race lap today.
But
it's all about racecraft and strategy. The master does it again. Insane.
How about the man in 4th in points, Alex Palou, the 2-time and defending champion. Here he is with Kev.
Yeah, if you want to show point standings, always appropriate to talk to and about Alex Palou, 2 of the last 3 championships. 2 Ganassis on the podium today. Did you have anything else for those in front of you? Do you consider this, hey, this was about what we had, this is good?
It was tough. It was really close between the 2, the 26, the 9, obviously with that strategy. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that podium. I think we could have done a little bit more without traffic, but honestly, happy to get that first podium with DHL.
So this was 2 very distinct strategies, and you were on the one that wasn't worried about the fuel. Do you as a driver think about that at all? Are we on the right one or are we on the wrong one? And what are the other guys doing?
Yeah, I mean, you always ask. We had the option to do the same strategy. It was open for everybody, but I don't know if we could have made it work. I think only the 9 car and Dixie could make that work. So yeah, proud that the Ganassi car won today, also yesterday with IMSA, so it was a great weekend for us.
If it's uncertain, would you rather just do the one that doesn't have to save fuel and drive as fast as you can, what you got to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it depends on the conditions, but today was really tough. I mean, you saw there's been, I think, like 4 or 5 cars that did it. I think Power was the second one doing that strategy, and he's back in P6. So, yeah, HRC gave us also the fuel mileage we needed, and it's great that Dixon got the win.
4 times here at Long Beach for Alex Palou, top 5 every time, Dylan.
And Marcus Ericsson finishes 5th. We're trying to get out of the way of some traffic here on pit road. Okay, so evaluate your day. I know you were maybe closer to the front at one point and then slipped back there to 5th, but just evaluate your day.
Yeah, it was a solid day for us. Did a really good start, really good first stint with some overtakes, and was feeling really strong. The car was really good. Unfortunately, we lost a couple of spots there in the first pit sequence, so we need to look at what happened there. So it dropped us back, to 4th from P2, I think. And then, Dixon did that alternate strategy. But overall, the car was super fast. I think the whole 28 team did a great job, and yeah, nice to see 4 Hondas up front. So a good day.
St. Pete did not yield the result that you ultimately wanted, but we're 2 points races into your switch to Andretti now. So how do you feel about where the cars are at and your performance so far?
I feel it's really good. It's a new team, was 4 years in a different team, so it's all new. And fast 6 both here and in St. Pete, and running top 5 in St. Pete until the issue, and another top 5 here. So I think we've started off really strong. We're still learning each other, so there's still a lot more potential to come, but it's been a very promising start, and it was just nice to get a really solid day here today, and then, a good result for everyone, and really a good day by the whole team.
How much do the races just help you learn? I mean, obviously you can test and you can look at data and all those things, but just being able to get out and run races is a big help, I'd imagine.
Yeah, for sure. When you're in a new team, you always have that process of learning your engineers, the setup of the car, the way the car behaves over a longer stint. I always felt like my strength is the race pace, and racecraft has always been my sort of strength. So I feel good that both St. Pete and here we've shown that. Today I think we were definitely fast enough to win, so that shows that we have really good race pace and qualifying pace. So that's really promising for the rest of the year, and when we get even more fine-tuned together, we're going to be even better.
Solid day for Marcus Ericsson, makes it 2 Andretti cars in the top 5 here at Long Beach, Marty.
Dylan, let's chat with Chip Ganassi, the man who's been around for so much of Scott Dixon's career. Now, you sit on Dixon's timing stand. Is this maybe the most improbable win he's ever had as long as you've been sitting on his timing stand, Chip?
I don't know if it's the most improbable, but it's certainly a hard-fought win. I mean, you know, we were saving fuel there from lap, I don't know, 28 or something. We were managing it, you know. We were managing it to the finish, yeah.
Talk me through what was going on the timing stand. Dixon said there were several times where I did not think it was going to happen. Did you guys have confidence the entire time on the timing stand he could pull this off?
Absolutely not.
That's what makes it great.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, we kept telling him a fuel number he had to get, but to stay in front of those guys, he was not getting the fuel number we had to get. So we had to keep making that up, you know, and that's tough to do.
How nervous were you on the timing stand that he was going to run out on that last lap?
It was relief at the end. It was relief more than anything. It was relief more than joy.
How about the weekend for Chip Ganassi Racing? You win the race on strategy yesterday in speed as well in the IMSA race, and you win it today on strategy too.
One with a Cadillac yesterday, one with a Honda today. It was good.
And that's big because Honda's hometown right here in Long Beach, just up the road in Santa Clarita. Chip Ganassi takes them to victory lane with driver Scott Dixon, Kevin.
Marty, let's talk to Will Power, who was second on the alternate strategy that ultimately won the race. He came in at the first caution the same time Scott Dixon did. But how did that first caution? You dominated the start of this race, built up, what, a 6-7 second gap. What did that caution do to your race?
It hurt us because we were banking on doing a full stint on those greens because the greens were just simply so much faster. So then we were stuck with blacks for the rest because I used them in the fast 6. So, yeah, I think I would have been pretty much the same as Scott, you know, in pace, if pace for the fuel, if I had a new set of greens in that middle stint. But yeah, I guess that's the bag we made when we started on those. You know, we took it, we were going to try to get the lead, which we did, and then pull a massive gap and pit. But just a terribly timed yellow, unfortunately. But, you know, that strategy won the race, so you can't complain too much.
Let's show you the start again. This is pretty cool.
It was, yeah. I knew I would have good tires. I didn't go crazy, like late, you know, and Felix is always good to race, but I was going to attack pretty hard in those first 2 laps to use the grip of the green sidewalls, and then, man, I had the fuel turned down, saving fuel and just saving tires and able to pull a big gap, but car was good. We'll move on. Top 6 is great for the situation. As you know, in IndyCar, these things happen with the yellows, and see if we can get the Verizon car in victory lane here soon.
Last question, final stint, you're on the same strategy as Dixon. How hard were you saving? Could you have made, if you had the right tire, could you have made the lap time that he was making?
I could if I had the greens, yeah. I just was too risky to use greens that were used twice. You know, where Dixon didn't get in the fast 6, so he had just one run on him. You know, we talked about it on the radio, but you know, you can drop pretty quickly if it didn't work out. But yeah, the greens is just simply great. They were really, really good tire.
Thank you, Will. Will Power finishes 6th today. Dylan.
And Teo Pourchaire finishes in the 11th spot. Not driven an IndyCar until 2 days ago. And you finished darn near in the top 10. So I want to start there and just your progression through the weekend. And you told me a top 15 would be the goal, but you almost got a top 10. How thrilled are you with how today ended up?
Well, man, it was a crazy, crazy race. I enjoyed it. My first IndyCar weekend is done now with a strong performance. So I'm super happy. I have to thank the semi-aero McLaren Chevy team for the car. The car was awesome today, you know. So I was, the biggest mover of the race, which is amazing, from 22nd to 11th. Super happy with that. And yeah, I have to thank also the IndyCar organization. You know, the championship is amazing. The racing is awesome there. Long Beach is a crazy good place, and I hope to be back in the future there, you know.
How much did you learn in the race compared to just in practice and qualifying when you're not out there by yourself, but you got to really race today?
I learned much more in the race. That's crazy. I mean, 85 laps in a row, many pit stops, out laps, in laps, saving fuel, overtaking cars, you know. And I enjoyed it because the performance was great. And, you know, it's pure racing in the car. I love it. Physically, it's tough. I'm quite tired right now. But, you know, it was a dream come true to do an IndyCar race for me with McLaren, such a legendary brand and racing team. So, you know, I'm quite emotional, but it's amazing. You know, I don't realize yet, but I'm super happy.
What a day. Teo Pourchaire, the highest finishing rookie, 11th on debut in an IndyCar.
What's the old saying? Good things happen to good people. He is a good young man. They worked very hard, but it's the Iceman, Scott Dixon, on top, and he ties Will Power for the most road course wins all time at 32. He'll remember this day for a long time to come. We had to wait 5 weeks between rounds 1 and 2. You only have to wait 5 days until Barber Motorsports Park roars into life for a 3-day weekend at the Augusta of Motorsports. We'll see at 1:30 Eastern next Sunday on NBC and on Peacock. There is nothing like this anywhere in the world. You have to see it to believe it. For the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix. It's going to be an awesome weekend, as was it here at Long Beach. Kevin?
Felix Rosenqvist has been fast in every event this season, started on pole. Not, I'm sure, the result you won in 9th, but let's kind of talk about the beginning and sort of the challenges that Marty reported mechanically. How much did that hamper you throughout the day?
Yeah, I had an issue with brake temps. We were just keeping adding brake bias to the front. Eventually, I ran a number on the brake bias I've never seen before. So it was a bit weird, and I was lacking a lot of confidence in the brake zone, so I just kept getting, like I couldn't attack, and I definitely couldn't defend. And it's so tight out there, you're just losing spots. So yeah, I'm bummed. It sucks when that happens, when you're just plummeting, but yeah, I'm still proud of the team. I think we did a hell of a statement this weekend. The pit stops were good. We're improving little things in the background that we didn't see in the race today, but we'll definitely try to learn a lot from this and make a deep dive and come back stronger.
This still goes along with what you said. I just need to take what's available, and in these circumstances, a win is not really available, but you brought the car home and scored good points.
Yeah, that was essentially it, because I felt if I tried to brake where the people were braking around me, I'm going to end in the wall, and that was kind of just. I'm happy we kept our heads cool and just did what we could, and we're still running like 7th in the points, so we're still off to a pretty decent start of the season here. First year together, so yeah, hugely proud of the team. We'll move on from this and come back stronger in Barber.
Very positive weekend for Felix Rosenqvist and Meyershank Racing with their first IndyCar pole, Dylan.
Kyle Kirkwood finishes in the 7th spot, so there is a little drama on pit road. Christian Lundgaard just came up to talk to you about that, but on the racetrack, just kind of an okay day for you. Ended up 7th. How would you sum it up?
Yeah, it summed it up. It was a decent day. We'll take it. We'll take the points. Move on to Barber. We didn't start where we wanted to. We went on that alt strategy. I don't know how Dixon got it done, to be honest. I was behind him, and I'm just watching him sail off into the distance, saving fuel. We're hitting the same number as him, and he's just sailing away. That was crazy to watch. But, we're satisfied. I think we could have gotten maybe one more position, but we nailed everything we needed to do from our end, so I'm satisfied.
Another Long Beach top 10 for Kyle Kirkwood, Marty.
Dylan, Mike Hull has been on the timing stand for Scott Dixon for over 2 decades, and this one ranks up there, Mike, I'm sure. But where would you put this with races where you're impressed with what your driver was able to pull off?
Every time I'm impressed, then he re-impresses us. But it's fantastic to work with Scott. We tell him what we would like him to do, and he sometimes laughs on the radio about that, but he goes ahead.
Was today one of those days?
I think he thought for a while that we weren't going to get it, that he was going to run out of fuel, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to use that word, but or say it that way, but he didn't, and we actually turned him up on the last lap.
Yeah.
And that was fantastic to be able to do that, because I was freaking out about it a bit, but it was wonderful to win.
Yeah, I asked Mike a moment ago, how impressed were you with what he did today? He said, this one's pretty much way up there, Diff. What a drive by Scott Dixon, and what a strategy call by Mike Hull.
I think I said it before. It's another reminder, never discount Dixon. He's done it again.
Done it again, all while never being even close to being the fastest driver this weekend, Hinch, in any practice, qualifying, or the race. He was mid-pack on outright pure one-lap pace. It don't matter at the end of the day. Top of the box once again.
It's a tale as old as Dixon. It's just how he does it, more often than anybody else. And also for that team, Chip Ganassi Racing, this win ties them with Roger Penske and Penske Racing for the most number of wins here at Long Beach at 7.
Nice boost here in the month of April, leading to the month of May. You know who else is going to be active in the month of May? Kyle Larson.
It may not be May yet, but it has that feel.
The overall feel of the car and all that is obviously different, but it's not too different, honestly.
One of the most talented drivers in any type of car we have seen.
Just opens my eyes to different ways of looking at things and how to approach things.
He's actually set the second fastest speed, 226.3.
Wow!
It's been fun, but still a lot to learn.
He's doing the double, the Indianapolis 500, the Coke 600. It's going to be incredible in our coverage for the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500. 11 a.m. Eastern on NBC and Peacock for our pre-race show. It's going to be awesome, but we've got a whole bunch of action coming your way. Month of May with the road course race, days of practice, qualifying. It's just going to be awesome.
It was beautiful boats, beautiful weekend at Long Beach. This place never disappoints. Sun's out. Surf is looking up this week, guys. I'm going to enjoy being home and see you in Barber in a few days.
Yeah, just excited for this stretch of the season, guys. Like we said before, in 8 weeks, we got 7 weekends on track, kicking it off here in Long Beach. No better place to do it, and no more deserving guy to be carrying home the first place trophy than Scott Dixon.
The beautiful thing about the NTT IndyCar Series is each and every week when we go to the racetrack, you never know who's going to win. And nothing underscores that more than what we witnessed today. Scott Dixon, you just heard it from one of his bosses. He was meant to run out of fuel. He did not. Dixon prevailed yet again. That's why he is the greatest of the modern era. And we will see you next weekend at the Children's of Alabama Grand Prix in Birmingham, Alabama at Barber Motorsports Park. What a weekend this has been. 40 years of IndyCar racing here on the famed streets of Long Beach. On behalf of our entire team, thanks so much for watching. Coming up next, it's Law & Order SVU. See you next week in Alabama.